You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Welcome to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Very special episode. My name is Jordan Lowe.
Gobble, gobble. Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
Here at KPP, we love holidays. Any
all we
holiday,
have.
every holiday.
That's all we have left.
We also love TV.
Yeah.
Classic TV, modern TV, new TV, old TV, streaming TV, antenna TV. We love it all. And we love brackets.
Oh, man.
We love debate. We love counting things down. We love matching things up. We like declaring things in the annals of our history. So
Boy, do we.
mash that all together, and you've got tonight's episode. KPP's Thanksgiving Day TV episode bracket.
The
Wow.
Turkey Day TV Tourney.
So it has multiple names. What else?
Much pithier. We're going to switch into that.
Gobble Challenge. What,
Yeah.
when Cliff came at us with this, came out at us with some run-of-the-mill, any other podcast size bracket.
It
for
was
this.
it was an idea. I had an idea.
And I said, I like what you're springing on us here, but you need to quadruple it. Because that's how KPP rolls.
Yeah.
We need to, if we're going to watch the holiday episodes and specials, we're going to watch all of them.
Yeah, so I was pitching, I'm always a little hesitant to these big ideas with humongous multiple team brackets because we've done such big ones in the past, and it's a labor of love. I love doing it, but man, it's a lot of work every time we do it. And I never, so I'm always like, well, keep it, just do the top ones. Just keep it, low numbers.
Yeah.
It'll be an easy episode. We can get through it quickly, and it always just like immediately.
But how do we know the top ones unless
Right.
we really
Unless we watch them. That's what we watch. That's what we do. You came out with, I was like, okay, so this is like some list of what are supposed to be the best ones, but doesn't have shows on there that KPP watches.
Right.
Like we
right.
watch a lot of other stuff that is, and if those shows are more appealing to us, then those Thanksgiving episodes are going to be more appealing to us.
That's right. Yeah. Anyone can Google what are the best holiday episodes, and that you get.
Hell, they could take
response.
that and they could have AI do a whole podcast about what are the best Thanksgiving episodes.
But you're getting our blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So it's going to be a long one. We have 56 episodes to match up with each other in a Final Four style, March Madness style bracket. We're going to go through, match them head to head. The winner moves on to face the next one, yada, yada. You know the drill. You've been there before. So
56 episodes. That's what's fun. And I was telling these guys before, I know for a fact that I watched well in close to 80 episodes that these guys didn't even put everything on the list. like for instance, The Middle has an episode on here. I watched all 9 Thanksgiving episodes of The Middle to put one on this list. I watched 3 episodes of Will and Grace, not on the bracket. I watched Parenthood, Family Matters, Dexter. We all some couples watch Schitt's Creek. None of these are on the bracket.
They didn't make it.
Well, it's
whoops.
So, we put in the work.
Dexter was on the bracket.
I don't
No.
think it's on there.
No,
I
it's not
just
on
noticed earlier.
I wasted an hour.
Me and Jordan and I watched Dexter. It's not on there, I guess.
So yeah, a lot of us, we've got streaming apps. I signed up for a free trial of Hulu, and then when I signed up, they're like, "Hey, do you want Paramount Plus?" I was like, "You better give it to me. I'm gonna need it."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I got to all, but I think 8 of them or so. I think you guys beat me. I think did you guys get to everything?
I watched everything. Yeah, I had to pay for 2 episodes. I mean, of course, I pay for all these apps, but all these streaming things. But I had to actually pay for 2 episodes. A couple bucks to finish it off today. But I got it all.
Yeah, I believe there was one episode that I'm not sure I finished. I watched most of it, and I got busy doing something else, and then I just never went back to it. There was one episode where I watched one series where I watched the wrong episode. Didn't realize it.
Tried to get it on the bracket.
Yeah,
wrong episode.
The wrong it was that worthy.
No.
Just to be talked about. But yeah, there was one episode that I couldn't find it. So that's about it. I think I've watched everything else. It was a weeks long project for all of us. A lot of hours of TV here, but yeah. I mean, I don't know. Are you guys sick of Thanksgiving yet? I mean,
I'm kind of like got the Thanksgiving spirit a little bit. Like my family does not do Thanksgiving. Like our immediate family gets together and has a turkey. Like we do not have in-laws and great grandparents. We do not do a big Thanksgiving thing. It's never been one of the big low family holidays. Yeah. So I'd never have a huge reaction to this time of year. But like watching all these shit, like it makes you realize how much pop culture influences. A part of the holiday is the media you consume and like the getting you into that mood. So I've had more Thanksgiving spirit this year for sure.
Yeah. I ended up having my Thanksgiving spirit came a little too early for some of the people at work. Like it was like November 1st or shortly after, and I was talking about Thanksgiving, and they're like, "Why are you talking about Thanksgiving?" and I wasn't able to explain. I was like, "I'm not even going to try to explain how many Thanksgiving episodes I've already watched in the last day or two."
Yeah,
they wouldn't understand, and I was like, "I don't know. I made a mistake. I don't want to talk about it." But no, I've always liked Thanksgiving. I love the big meal, but our family's always got together as a huge thing, and I just like that it's not anything else. It's just that. It's just that. It feels like what should be the purest of holidays. Like it is just giving thanks and enjoying a meal and being thankful for all that we do have, even in these times. So I think as Cliff messaged us earlier today, like, I think this came at the right time. I was, the problem with the holidays is they always, they always come right after an election, depending on whatever year, and sometimes that makes those holidays tough. So this was soothing to at least watch all these good times, all these families that feel like family. We grew up watching all these different families, and we feel like we're part of them. So it kind of took my mind off of all that garbage and just what are we thankful for?
Right. That's exactly pretty much how I felt. I found myself kind of in the middle of growing up. We would go to multiple houses for Thanksgiving, all the families, and do that thing. And then as we've gotten older, it's just became, us and the kids and my parents, a lot of years, and my grandparents for a long time until they passed. But yeah, the grouping has seemed to have gotten smaller, and the holiday seems to pass faster and faster. So doing this, spending weeks watching these, because I'm watching it with my wife, and I'm watching it with Carly, and at the same time, and we're, it's sparking discussion, sure, and we're kind of, there's the nostalgia for it, or oh God, this isn't nearly as good as I remember it, whatever. But Carly hadn't seen a lot of those episodes, and so she kind of took notice of I had the bracket printed out in my list and keeping track of everything. So it was a nice little project for us. I agree. It definitely, the last week and a half or whatever it's been, it's definitely been a nice distraction. So I'm not just, it's kept my mind on other things. So,
and it's less important, but I still think it's worth mentioning that we've talked before how we grew up. We had Nick at Night, where we saw samples of all these old shows from before we were born. So we were exposed to all this stuff. It took us 7 streaming services and some internet digging, and we had to watch some bootleg streams on some weird app that that's overseas or whatever to find some of these. So like the media landscape is so fractured. Like I said, Carly's not growing up watching these special. Like every year we would see the reruns of these shows, and they would air them, and like we oh yeah, that's that one. So things are so segmented that we don't have a shared cultural experience like this. There are still some network sitcoms and some really popular shows, but nothing like this that everyone saw on the same night on the same channel at the same time. So it was definitely nostalgia going back, but I think we're losing something not having. We have more content at our fingertips than we ever have before, but so little of it is a kind of a shared thing. So to be able to go back and revisit some of these, I enjoyed having a reason for it and a shared theme to compare and contrast all these things. So I don't know, it's part of it's pop culture, but it's our history as well, our shared togetherness kind of thing.
Even the generations behind us are mad about kids today not having those shared things. I these younger people I work with, they're like, even they watched a lot of the same stuff, but not the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's doing that. So yeah, there is we should have made a bingo card. I did write down some things to watch for here as we go. A lot of similarities in these episodes, guys. So look for some of these on your bingo card. What episodes do they get out there and play some football with the fam?
Yeah.
When do they just watch football? Who's watching football? Is the turkey frozen? Is that turkey frozen again? Oh. Or do they have to end up eating something alternative to the traditional family meal? Do we have to get groceries? Is there talk of the parade? Any involvement of the Thanksgiving Day parade? Is the turkey stuck on anyone in any way? and do we give grace? Say grace and give thanks. All of these appear multiple times in these episodes, and I wonder if they will appear at your Thanksgiving this year or have in the past. Have you ever had the turkey stuck on any part of you? Did you have some alone time with the turkey?
I noticed several common themes in a lot of these episodes too. So yeah. So anyways, okay, so we're just gonna
Which
kind of
part are we doing?
So I'm just gonna I have our bracket pulled up here. I'm gonna start in the upper left hand corner.
Okay, just give us that pairing. I don't want any spoilers on what we're doing until we get to it. So.
Right. So our first matchup is going to be 8 is Enough. The episode was
my submission.
Yes, your submission. The episode was called All the President's Men. It's from season 3, episode 11.
Yes.
All about the
Versus.
Bradfords.
What it's up against, or we talk about this first? Let's just talk about this. Let's talk about this one. Okay. So
should we? Do we need to? How dumbed down do we need to make this? Do we need to explain where all these shows are?
We'll feel it out. Obviously, this show was
some of these.
What I'm asking is, someone explain what this show is to me.
I will gladly. I don't remember what year did you say it was?
What year?
Yeah, what years? Somebody look that up. But this is late 70s, early 80s.
78, 79.
Yeah, this is Dick Van Patten was the dad, and the mom dies, and he has a new wife, Abby, and he had 8 kids, and eight is enough. The name of the show. That's where
Are they all his kids, or
I believe so. I believe they are all his kids.
Okay. Because I knew the kids were calling the mom or the wife
Abby
by her first name. So yeah, I'm trying to pick up context clues because I've never seen a single.
Now there's a ton of there's some rich stuff in this show. Like the original pilot episode, the oldest son, David, was played by Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
He and two of the other kids were also switched after the first episode, but Mark Hamill was switched to another actor, and also Tommy was switched to Willie Ames, who went on to do other things. Yeah, and Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Was he Billy? And no, he was Hank the Ranger, I believe. And then one of the other girls was changed also. But that's the show. I mean, it's just about this family. It's just a total cluster. Costs a bunch, mostly 5 girls to 3 boys. There's one very young boy, Nicholas, who just kind of always doing his own thing and having to live with all these teenagers. And it was just a good family show at the time. And
starting it, I didn't realize it was an hour. I assumed it was a half-hour sitcom, and it just kept going. I'm like, how long is it? So it was like one of those hour like dramedies, which we have still today.
All right, yeah, this was late 70s because this was the whole point. Was he had written a letter to the. Did he write a letter to enter contest? I don't remember. He wrote
the school had them the kids write letters to a public figure.
Oh,
so he wrote the vice president and invited him. They never say.
No, but it's Walter Mondale.
Yeah,
but they just can't call him the vice president.
Well, it's funny.
He accepted the invitation.
I love that, and I love he's going around trying. It's too chaos around there. He can't get anybody's attention to let them know that the vice president's coming to dinner, which is it's ridiculous, but it's a good family. It's a good family show. I always remember enjoying watching that show.
Yeah, so the vice president's coming over for dinner, so they send a representative from the vice president's office to make sure everything's in line and
squared away.
Yeah, beforehand, and like you said, it's chaos. But
also, editor's note here: the Nancy Bradley was huge childhood crush. She was something.
So the B story of it is the one sister wants a nose job because she feels her nose is too big or something. It made no
right. It was stupid.
Like had her sister that was like
girls having
the other sister had been like, hey, I need a nose job. I'd be like, yeah, okay, I can kind of see it. But this girl was like,
Julie
no, you picked the wrong one.
Joni, Joni could use a nose job, but she did not. Elizabeth did not need a nose job.
Right,
she got dysmorphia, and the Republican grandparents come, and then she's willing. The grandma's going to pay for plastic surgery.
Yeah, she's going to pay for
it, which is amazing. And
he's got some thoughts on the capital gains tax.
That he didn't like that we weren't having young Ronnie
Ronnie Reagan. Oh yeah. So in the end of it all, the vice president does not show up, and they end up having their Thanksgiving. I
feel like that cost him the election later.
It probably did. Definitely not making that TV.
If they could have referred back to this episode and he'd shown up for Nicholas,
huge bump. 3 points.
Huge bump in my demographic.
So I thought for the first time ever seeing this, I enjoyed it. I like the family stuff. I like the big family chaos where no one's listening to things are getting mixed up in the and then somebody from the outside is coming in and your family's chaotic, but somebody from the outside is like, this place is a mess. Like, hey buddy, watch it. It had a good
Dick Van Patten was good. Yeah, he played a good dad.
I think things are so different today. Like I said, this could have been a half-hour sitcom. There was so much extraneous stuff. Everything stuff from the 70s was so slowly paced and just.
And like the
Hey, man,
the
we're
one
just hanging
brother
out.
that's trying to buy the car and all of that, and I was just like, what's happening right now? Like, he's gonna buy this car, put $50 down on $100.
Yeah, you had to have. You couldn't just have an A and B. You needed a C and D plot.
Right.
But I did always like that. I liked the guy that did play David, the whole series, like because everybody would go to him for advice. He was always the older guy that moved out or lived in the garage, or I don't remember, but he gave a lot of advice and stuff, and so it was a pretty good show for that time. Anyway, what's 8 is enough up against?
Okay, so immediately, it is up against Bewitched. This
Right
is
away. The one you didn't watch. You watched the wrong episode.
So this is the one. So we were supposed to watch Bewitched, an episode called Samantha's Thanksgiving to Remember, season 4, episode 12. Somehow I went to watch it online and I ended up watching season 4, episode 29, a majority of 2, which we're going to talk about that for a second because it was amazing. But the proper episode.
It's gonna be long.
The proper episode.
We're talking about
get your own bracket, Cliff.
Yeah, get your own bracket of things I watch that aren't Thanksgiving.
and so, anyways, the proper episode was the Thanksgiving episode. It is Samantha's aunt zaps them back to Pilgrim times.
Yeah.
They get accused of being witches. Darren lights a match to start a fire, and he's accused of being a witch or something or other.
Yeah. Well, we actually watched the episode.
Well, you guys talk about it then.
I didn't. I couldn't find it streaming.
You should have watched episode 29.
I'm the only one that watched it. Oh my god!
It is on multiple streaming platforms, but only some of the seasons and only some of the episodes.
Yeah.
And some of the seasons.
This was one that I did not watch until today because I had to pay 99 cents to watch it. So
I watched a couple clips on YouTube. They were like 5-minute clips. I've seen like half the episode just from a couple clips I watched.
Right.
So
I scoffed. I scoffed when Cliff thought I was going to pay another 99 cents to watch a non-Thanksgiving episode.
Well, the one I watched was free, so it wouldn't have cost you.
Okay. Anyway,
So Bewitched, she was a witch who marries a mortal guy.
Right.
Yeah,
Was he
true.
What was he, a pilot? What was his job?
I don't know.
That was I Dream of Jeannie.
That was
He was an
astronaut. That's right.
That was Larry Hagman. This guy's just like insurance salesman or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And they have a kid.
There was 2 Darrens. We have to mention there's 2. They replaced this guy halfway through, but this is the original Darren. This is the original guy.
Yeah.
They have Tabitha.
Yeah, the daughter is Tabitha. Aunt Clara.
So it's the neighbors. Oh, Samantha does stuff every episode that's missed. Somebody may see you are a witch, or so like they get into sitcom shenanigans, I'm sure.
Right. So in this episode, the aunt accidentally zaps herself to their house while she's sleeping because she talks in her sleep. So she's there for Thanksgiving uninvited, and so she tries to make it up by taking them to the original Thanksgiving is basically what happened. And they go there, and John Alden is inviting them to dinner, and Darren freaks somebody out because he says, "Hey, how you doing?" And guy almost dropped his turkey when he said that because that's not a proper greeting, and it freaked him out. And Elizabeth Montgomery could speak perfect Pilgrim. She had a lot of F's and at the end of every word. And anyway, it was not a bad episode. It was pretty good. I'm always impressed with these older shows. It's like these people were good actors. Some of these sitcoms were a little tighter than some of the newer ones, and they had some quality components, like the neighbor, like you mentioned. When she zapped them back to olden times, that woman was in the kitchen, so
Mrs.
she got
Kravitz.
taken with them. Yeah, she got taken with them, and so it's always she's going to reveal to her husband. Her husband never believes her. So then when they zap back to the modern times, they're all wearing pilgrim clothes because they had changed while they were there, and she goes running off to go show her husband, but by the time she gets there, they've already zapped her back into regular clothes, and she's oiled again. But it was fine. Like you said, he went to light a fire and lit a match, and of course he's declared a witch, was very ironic.
Yeah,
because he's the only one that wasn't a witch, of the women in him, and so they had a whole court case, and the guy who was accusing him had to eventually drop the case because he could also strike the match and make fire, but it was the one that was they had to work in some more magic, so like he struck the match that was already burned, and Samantha made it light. She would twinkle her nose like
right.
I could see where you could get confused with I Dream of Jeannie, because she would
she would blink and nod
blink and nod. Well, she would twinkle her nose or whatever. And anyway, it was pretty good episode, but as the only one who watched these 2 episodes, my vote is 8 is enough. I thought that was a better.
So the episode I watched.
Well, you can't vote if we're not voting for it.
I know, but I want to talk about it. So the premise was, and the reason maybe I was like, how did I not notice this wasn't? I watched the whole thing, never thought about it. Did not notice it wasn't a Thanksgiving episode.
There's no turkey at all.
And I think the premise was, right, there wasn't. But there was a dinner scene, and I think that's what confused me. So in that episode, Darren is off somewhere doing work or a business trip or whatever, and Darren's boss, Mr. Tate, comes to the house and he begs, Samantha, if she would host a potential client they're trying to land from Japan. Okay. So Aunt Clara is there again, and Mr. Tate brings over Mr. Mishimoto, and of course they have used magic to make it Japanese like, and they've instead of setting the dinner table, they set the coffee table to eat, and there's pillows and stuff when they sit on the floor, and Samantha and Aunt Clara are dressed as like geishas. And Mr. Mishimoto is played by the whitest British dude ever. And it's total cultural appropriation. They make him up, and I mean, it's clearly a white dude, and they like kind of draw what looks like, or put fake eyebrows that kind of point downward, and he talks in this horrible accent, and they just make terrible jokes about language barrier and things like that. But it was wild.
And eventually, with Mrs. Mishimoto gone, I tired of traveling and felt a great desire to return to my homeland. Have you ever been to Japan?
Oh yes, I've spent a lot of time over Japan.
Over Japan?
Back in the days when I used to fly without any trouble.
You used to fly? How very interesting.
And then the whole time I'm like, I can't believe I'm even watching this on television. And then he's smitten with Aunt Clara, so he starts dating her. And then at the very end, she breaks it off with him. He goes to fly back to Japan, and they chase him down to the airport, and Samantha uses her magic to get him to notice one of the flight attendants, who is like an authentic Japanese woman, and beautiful woman. I was like, why is she Asian but he's not? It was nuts. I highly encourage you to, if you want to,
I'm voting for that.
Go for a ride. So
okay, let's put it through.
All right.
Okay.
8 is enough.
I was gonna suggest, I forgot at the beginning, we needed to nominate the most problematic episode
Mm-hmm.
and the least
So
problematic
far, it's that
episode.
one, even though this is
It's
most
not on
problematic for not having any Thanksgiving in it.
I like the Bewitched from what I saw. I like that Darren. Yeah, I assume he's normally the goofy husband, like, oh, Samantha, you can't do that. But he like immediately was like, we're in danger. We shouldn't be here. These people will hang witches. So he like
Right.
he went into protective mode and he was trying to do things. And yeah, like I said, the obvious thing would be to see actual witchcraft, but no, to switch it up and have the guy who's not a witch be accused of witchcraft. That was clever, and had real heavy Thanksgiving theme. So I like that one, but I didn't watch the whole thing. So
Sure,
I'm
yeah,
happy to go. 8 is enough.
8 is enough.
They're pretty close. I will say, I just like that show better. But also I will say about that, I remember thinking at the beginning of the episode, she's like basting a turkey, pulling it out of her oven and everything, and I just thinking like, at what, that was just like, wait, this is 60s, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. This is this normal, traditional Thanksgiving. Like, how few years are we from that having really begun? Like, I know supposedly 1620, whatever, but like, just having ovens in that, electric ovens and all this in your house and living the modern, 50s,
Yeah.
whatever that's supposed to be the idealized America, like that just started like then. It had not been that long, since we're considered modern, starting with the 50s basically. And it's like it just seems like, I don't know. I felt like I should have watched a Little House on the Prairie Thanksgiving. I forgot to look something, something. I looked to find that because it's just like everyone we saw is really a modern take.
Our next matchup has a pretty primitive take.
Yeah.
Oh, good. What was it?
So we have All in the Family.
Oh, okay.
It's called The Little Atheist.
Yeah.
It's from season 6, episode 11. Yeah.
Now, for anyone not knowing All in the Family, this was a very, huge show. But very much in the zeitgeist. This was very cutting edge. Had a lot of performative racism and things to accentuate, what was going on in society and shine a light on it. And Carol O'Connor.
Imagine a very divided society.
Yeah.
Where we
who
all agree
would
on
have thunk it?
Yeah.
But if it is very relevant, and the people watching it at that time, like I was there watching it with my parents and stuff. I'm like, what were they thinking at the time? Like, were they, do people
don't understand.
Were people seeing that it was a rip, that he was not that he was trying to make a fool of Archie Bunker?
Right.
Carol O'Connor was a freaking genius at this. Like, just watching this episode again, this is a great show. All in the Family is a great show. Like, I was just, again, like, him and I don't know her name, but Edith, that actress, she is great. It's got Rob Reiner and Sally Struthers. It's just it's a great cast, and just I miss that show. I miss shows that were just such high quality.
Yeah,
ultra conservative Archie Bunker set in his ways. He's the red-blooded American male who's not going to change for any feminism or any of these newfangled 60s ideals. With a very, his daughter marries a very liberal meathead.
Yeah.
And so it was having the conversation. This was Norman Lear's writing of like the conversation America was having with like moving into these modern times with these newer civil rights movement and women's movement, all this stuff. That they're here at the center of it was a guy who we could all identify with, and he was a lovable guy, but he was a bigot, and he was sexist. And it's like, this was, I'm sure, a lot of families then, a lot of families now are dealing with this cultural divide. So it didn't need to be a Thanksgiving episode to have this tension between it. That was the whole set.
Every episode was this. And he's trying that basically the whole deal is his daughter's having Thanksgiving at the first time at their house, and they're going to that, and they don't want their child there to be she's pregnant. When they have this child, they don't want it to be raised in religion. They're
Right.
They want the child to, figure it out for themselves, or, not be forced into it. And that's just devastating to these grandparents, and they want they're going to sneak the child off to church when they have it.
Yeah, so this is this is, like you said, still very relevant. It's about new parents setting boundaries, and today we would call it breaking family trauma, and here we were back in the 70s or whatever. But even today, I still hear people make references about Archie Bunker, and he knew the way, and we got to be more like him. Like they just never they never got it. So anyways, so in this episode, Meathead and Gloria are hosting Thanksgiving for the first time, and Edith makes Archie put his suit on, which he doesn't want to do, and he doesn't want to go over there in the first place. They have Thanksgiving and blah 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 blah. It's all very real life situations.
Oh, no, Archie, you ain't gonna wear your sweater to Gloria's house.
What are you talking about? Why not?
Well, this is Thanksgiving dinner. You're gonna wear your best suit.
The turkey ain't gonna know the difference.
Archie.
When I get dressed, I am dressed.
Oh, no, you're gonna look...
I don't believe what's happening here. What are you doing? This is a new high in low.
A nice new dark blue suit.
What do you mean, my dark blue suit? I'm going over there to eat, not to get buried.
Please.
Oh, gee, going over there, getting dressed up just to eat with the daughter. Many's the time she ate with us wearing nothing but a diaper.
It won't hurt you to get dressed up once a year.
Oh, look, you're putting a tie around me, too. What do I need a tie for? The only thing I ever see around a meathead's neck is a napkin.
Archie, this is the first Thanksgiving dinner Gloria ever cooked, and it's very important to her.
All right, important. Get out of here, will you? Get yourself dressed.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, there's a big fight during the episode over religion and how this child's going to be raised, and Archie's throwing a fit and wants to, or does he leave? He wants to leave. I can't remember.
He wanted to leave. He told Edith to follow him. Don't look back or you'll be turned into a pillow of salt.
So
my favorite joke of the whole thing is when he goes to say a prayer or whatever, and he pulls out his prayer book and he's like, I wouldn't be sitting here today if I didn't have this in my back pocket in the war. He had shot and it saved him. I wouldn't be sitting here today if this wasn't in my back pocket.
So
it was good.
Yeah,
what's it up against?
This one is this is up against Silver Spoons. Two-parter. Major episode, right?
I wanted primitive. Here we go. Bananas for Thanksgiving.
So Silver Spoons, I mean, it's definitely a show I remember it being on. Of course, it's a story of Ricky Schroeder, and he is off in military school, I believe, and then finds out who his real dad is. And
this is another one I couldn't remember. Like, was he rich? Was his dad?
His dad
I didn't remember the setup.
His dad owned.
His dad seemed kind of like a yutz.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He owned a toy company.
I like that. The dad is hilarious. I'm not having any of that.
I'm saying he didn't seem like a millionaire.
No.
He wasn't. He's not stuffy.
He's like an everyday guy.
Yeah, he's a very fun character. Cracks a lot of jokes. This is called Voyage of the Darned. It's from season 3. It's episodes 7 and 8, as we said. So
it's kind of a Richie Rich story. A young kid.
Now, originally, his friend was it's super Richie Rich. Like at the time, we had a Richie Rich cartoon on also,
right.
And comic books and stuff. I was like, this kid is Richie Rich, but his friend on the earlier episodes I thought was Jason Bateman, and then it At this time, it was Alfonso Ribeiro.
Yeah.
It's like, this is when he was on like the Pepsi commercials and stuff with Michael Jackson and always dancing.
Yeah. So, Alfonso, his character, Ricky Schroeder's character, I don't remember his name, but anyways, they're like best friends at this point. And Alfonso's character, his kid is being raised by his uncle or something, who is like the lawyer or the accountant or something for the dad, the toy business owner character. So he's around. They don't have much of a relationship. So it's Thanksgiving. They decide they're going to take the family or the company plane. And with
Aaron Gray is a pilot. She can fly
Aaron
it.
Gray. I did not remember Aaron Gray being on this show.
I did. I remember now. I remember everybody thought she was something.
So anyways, as they're up in the air and there's a bit of a long scene in the airplane where they're kind of switching seats back and forth, and then one of the engine cuts out and then the other engine cuts out, and they have a crash landing on a deserted island.
But they were flying through the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, yes, of course. Of course. That's where all the crashes
the 80s.
happen.
It was the 80s. Like the Bermuda Triangle, you think is going to cause all kinds of.
So yeah,
they wanted the kids. Kids wanted to go to a high school Thanksgiving party. They'd been invited, and
because they were freshmen, and
there was a good interaction there. Like they had not let the kids know that they were going to go do this, and Ricky. It was just good. Snappy dialogue back and forth that I thought, man, they did some of this stuff really good back then, and I liked it. Just the ass end falls out of this.
It does
once they crash land, and it's just what are we watching it?
We don't get to see the crash, which I was disappointed. Like there was no effort there. It was just, we're going down, and then it cuts to commercial, and then you come back and they're walking around. I'm like, what happened to the plane? There's all these unanswered things, you know.
They put like tears and holes in their clothes. Like,
right.
Oh, that was that close.
Yeah, it was so close. So, so they have to. They're stranded on the island, have to spend time there. And as they're starting to bicker and fight more and more, a hurricane suddenly is coming, right? And Alfonso's he ran off into the wilderness or something, so his uncle goes and runs after him, and then it turns out everybody's okay.
They got into the hut with the grass door. It saved them from the hurricane.
Yes. So it's silly. So in the end, yes, they're eating bananas and things like that, and it's very Gilligan's Island. And some sort of ship sails by and is able to rescue them. So yeah, that's about all I thought about that.
This might have been my least favorite of all these I watched. It was just so broad. The humor was so on the nose. And again, it's 80s. I give it some leeway, but like the jokes were so hammy, sitcom-y. And I said, it made no sense. I was not into it. I know I watched some of these. I know I had familiarity. I've watched this as a kid, but I've not watched it since then, and I don't have any nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
So this one couldn't wait for it to be over.
I agree. I did not, when I put it on there, I didn't realize it was 2 episodes, which then I regretted, but I was already so far into it, it didn't matter.
Yep.
I watched the show as a kid. I don't remember a lot about it. I was pretty young. Other than I thought it was really cool that, surprise, surprise, he had all these toys. Yeah. And that's what I remember about it. So,
felt like the movie The Toy. It always reminded me of The Toy.
Yeah. So,
anyway, it's not close. All in the Family.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Our next matchup is going to be The Love Boat. Guys, shiny and new. Were you a big Love Boat fan? Was that a show you guys watched?
I watched a lot of Love Boat.
Did you?
That was it was paired with this, what was actually the same show, Fantasy Island.
Okay, see that? Okay, I remember that. I think Fantasy Island, did it come on after?
I don't know, but I know that they were the same show because you would watch and there would be like 3 different stories going on. People would come there and basically everything would get fixed for them. Whatever was wrong, they came there and it got fixed.
Right.
Which I thought that's a decent setup. This is the first one of these I've ever seen. I've never seen one in my life. But watching it, I'm thinking I can see why this has gotten remade and there are similar shows because you have a main cast, but then every week you can bring in new people,
guest stars.
So
guest stars
have
are
different,
crazy.
have a lot of different plot lines. Whatever's going on in their life, you don't have to have you don't have to try too hard to bring drama into the show. So it makes sense. It's a good concept.
Yeah. It lasted a long time on television. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think we watched much of it. I remember I've seen parts of episodes. I know that. I remember the song always coming on like after a show we watched. So.
I still sing a song here and there.
Yes, it had a really good intro. But this is Thanksgiving Cruise the Best of Friends, season 6, episode 9. So this is pretty far into the run, season 6. But this has 3 parts or 3 different stories. I
was so confused by this.
Yeah, it took a minute. So
a man running away with a little boy, like trying to hide from the law. I'm like, what is happening?
So
it didn't help that the story with the cast was weak, but you're going to run into that on these Thanksgiving episodes. Like they have to distill things down to some stupid thing to make it tie into Thanksgiving. Yeah. So the cast.
The other story of the fiance, the newlywed, or the guy in the wheelchair,
Lauren Green. Yeah.
That was a solid story. The other one is like a little boy with his stepfather, but they never really established it. It's like, come on, BJ, stay quiet. We gotta hide in the. It's like, who are you? Why do you have this kid?
Yeah. And there's some universe where BJ ended up being on the Righteous Gemstones. I'm pretty sure that was him as a kid, but regardless, yeah. So the story involving the crew was super lame. It's just
everybody's in a fight.
Everybody's mad at everybody. It's highly manufactured.
They were all tropes anyway, but yeah, like the doctor was always a womanizer. So this comes up and they joke a little too hard with him about it.
He looks like the nerdiest dude ever.
Well, no, he was suave on that show. The doctor got all the ladies. And Isaac.
In those white shorts.
Yeah. Those high white. You got the high tube socks. You got to have the tube socks up. That was the style back then.
The zipper in those shorts was like 3 feet long. It was up to your armpits.
Yeah, but they so there was the doctor.
That stuff isn't important
as the bartender, but I do want to touch on as they were all bickering. Captain Steubing was always cool as ice. He always had stuff under control. And I felt like they did exhibit that in this episode. Like his daughter is starting to get mad at something to him, and he's like, "Hey, not us. We're not doing this." And then he gives her 2 of the most awkward kisses right on the lips. He puts on the lips, and I thought that was awkward. And he's like, "No, not a little one." And he goes back in for a bigger one. And I was like, "This is what I was looking for." So that was totally crazy. But he's always cool and takes charge and fixes everything. Or does everything the right way. Like he told them, like, he's like, "No, I can't let you go with your stepdad. If the law says your father has," it was totally unrealistic. The actual father was like way too nice. It just didn't make any sense that they would just get along. Like, it was great. It was a great feeling that everybody just gets along. I know, but that story was crazy. Then, like you said,
and that was Apollo from Battlestar Galactica, right?
Okay, I never watched.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was. So they had 2 Battlestar Galactica people on that episode.
BJ Boats, Battlestar Galactica.
Well, the other story was Lauren Green and his wife are there with their daughter, and she's introducing her,
Fiance.
her fiance, and he's in a wheelchair, and they don't know, and they thought, oh, you get in a skateboard accident? Yeah, a long time ago, and they realize he's crippled, and they don't like it, and they end up, he talks to the guy and basically convinces the guy that he's not good enough for his daughter because of this, and the guy even starts to feel like that. The daughter, everyone recognized her, right?
Yeah, but I don't know where from.
She's Bruce Dern's wife from The Burbs.
Oh my
No
god!
tan-line.
I wish you guys could see the gasp from both of them. I did the same thing when I was watching. I was like, "She's good looking. Why am I equating her with?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's the hot wife." Anyway,
no tan line.
Nope. But anyway, they end up, of course. It was a great moment when Lauren Green's wife says, if that was us, would you have not married me? And obviously, so it gives them perspective. And everything works out fine there.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they have to realize what they're thankful for, all of the crew and everything, and that it's not all about finding fault. And
that was a good moment sitting around the table where the crew said, oh, you really had my back at this one point. So, like, again, I'm not having that backstory to all these episodes. Like, it was new to me, but it's like it felt authentic for these people who've been in the same boat, quote unquote, for six seasons.
For a long time.
And that's something that, even to this day happens on in the cruise industry, is they have like a captain's table at dinner, and different people get to dine with the captain. So and the crew, and so it was.
That was everything I thought. I was like, this feels like it was back when cruising was like ultra exclusive and classy and a newer experience.
Very
for
new.
The jet setting wealthy rather than whatever it is now.
Right.
Floating dinner buffets.
Right.
I should have looked and seen if there was a Fantasy Island Thanksgiving episode. I didn't. I just imagine. Anyway, go on.
All right. So that was it. Lauren Green doesn't roll with cripples, and apparently Mrs. Rumfield did. Up against the Bob Newhart show. This is the original Bob Newhart show. Over the River and Through the Woods, season 4, episode 11. Guys, I don't know if I've ever seen an episode of this before. I'd watched Newhart.
Oh, I watched them all. I grew up on this. My mom watched all this kind of stuff, and I just was sitting right there with her watching everything. I loved television. And I was just like, I am the child of television. I sat there in the 70s and 80s and watched it all. So I watched all these Bob Newhart episodes.
I watched a ton of Newhart as it was airing live. Our family did. And then years later saw the Newhart show on like Nick at Night. So I've seen not a ton of it, but I've seen plenty of it. And I really like it.
Yeah.
Bob Newhart's just amazing. He died this year, and I was like, I gotta see if I can get this on the list. Basically the gist is his wife wants to go home and see his family. See her family. The trope of him not wanting to go visit her family, and he's got to be there for his patients, and so is his excuse. And that, so he stays back, and the bunch of the guys are kind of stuck, not getting to. He's got a patient, a neighbor, and other people. So they all kind of go to the apartment and end up getting ripped and ordering Chinese food.
Yeah, that's pretty much what my note said.
So this era of as a psychologist, psychiatrist, whichever, like it was not as sensitive to mental illness, of course. So that was a very big, not normal people wouldn't go to therapy, so it was always he had the craziest clients and patients. So everyone was a real nut job. So a lot of the humor came from his wacky patients who were, his very deadpan response to this very over the top crazy patients, because only a real wacko would need to talk it out in there.
I do want to flag that we had a frozen turkey in this episode.
Yes,
it was small. Wasn't this the one show? There was somebody
won the raffle
for
free turkey.
That's right. The Ralph would get conned into doing it at the beginning. Yeah.
Right.
He did what they do, and whenever there's a frozen turkey, you gotta turn it up all the way. Just cook it.
Always.
Yeah. They were wasted when they were doing that. He wanted to turn up to 2,000, and no, I got that 500.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
I realized my whole life, when I have seen or read the words Mugu Gai Pan, I always like Mugu Gai Pan, and I didn't know why.
This is why.
But this had imprinted on me that it was so funny. They order Chinese food drunk and just keep saying Mugu Gai Pan. So I've always pronounced it weird. I knew it was a reference to something. I was like, oh, that's what.
Hello, is this the house of who? I'd like to order some Chinese food. What do you want?
Howard wants pizza.
No, I don't. I want some Mugu Gai Pan. Did you hear what Howard wants? Mugu Gai Pan.
That's what I want too. Dr. J. Robinson wants Mugu Gai Pan.
And more Mugu.
You was just that all. He said Mugu Goo Goo. He said Goo 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 Goo.
That's right. You said Mugu Goo Goo. Maybe I'm ordering Chinese baby food.
Well, you better get some paper wrapped chicken.
Wrap up a chicken. Next.
I'll have the sweet and sour pork.
Make up your mind, Mr. Collins.
Okay, I'll have the Mugu Gai Pan.
More Mugu Gai Pan. Mr. Ramaki.
I'll have another Mugu Gai Pan.
More good to go. My name is Bob Hartley. It's in the book.
I did have a problem with the joke where they only like 4 of them ordered Mugu Gai Pan, and they got $100 worth.
Yeah.
Pallet comes in on a dolly with all this stuff. I'm like, come on. I did like the joke also where the wife Emily is wearing she's making the paper bag thing, and the actor comes in, the neighbor, who he was also on I Dream of Jeannie. Yes. He was the funny guy. When I don't remember his name, but he kept coming in and not noticing that she had this huge paper bag on her head, and then when she takes it off, he asks if she changed her hair.
Yeah, that's good.
It's like good stuff. I like this. Was just good stuff.
I thought that this one of the strongest jokes of all these shows was they kept doing the knock knock jokes, trying to get each other having the one guy didn't quite understand the knock knock jokes, and at one point he bangs the frozen turkey on the counter. Bam, bang. Who's there? That's such a perfect sitcom joke. I loved it so much.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
totally agree.
It was good. I thought it was a little slow in the beginning, but man, it once it caught steam, it was freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
So
it was just I mean, it was just nice to spend time with these characters for me. Like, I had watched it all in the past, and I think Bob Newhart is just, his dry humor is so good.
Yeah.
So I would just go and say I vote for this over The Love Boat.
Easy pick for me.
All right. So Bob's moving on here. Okay. So next, we have the Brady Bunch. Guys, we all watched the Brady Bunch, right? As in a million reruns. This is called the Underground Movie. It's from season 2. It's episode number 5. I remembered this
story of a lovely lady.
You all remember a lot of these shows were probably on our theme song bracket.
Mm-hmm.
This definitely was.
Definitely. So, this particular episode is all about Greg's got to make a movie. Well, he's going to make a movie. He's got a project for the first Thanksgiving for school, I do believe. And he decides he's going to use the old home movie camera, 8mm, I think, and write and direct, and his family's going to star. in this, all about the Pilgrims and the Indians. First Thanksgiving. So immediately Bobby and Greg, or Bobby and Peter, they want to be Indians through the whole thing. So he took some set pieces from the plays at school and built a whole set in the fake grass, in the backyard, the AstroTurf
doghouse.
Yeah. so yeah, he's cast Mom and Dad and Alice in this. Very classic sitcom stuff. I always liked these types of episodes as a kid. That I don't know why. Like, if they were making a movie or shooting a music video or something, I always thought that was super cool. So I don't know, anything stand out in particular for you guys?
This one didn't. I mean, the whole thing was about Thanksgiving and the history of it, but it's like, Brady Bunch, I expect a big scene around the dinner table or something like that. It didn't quite have that. So I don't know, the family squabbles, nobody's listening to it, he's trying to get herding cats kind of a thing, and
so 8 is enough vibe.
Yeah.
A little bit.
No one's listening to their instructions, and everyone has a better idea of how to do it.
Yeah, what was that? What movie had such an influence on these? That wasn't there? There was a movie like in the 50s or 60s that was just parents and the two families coming together with a bunch of kids, and I want to say it was like Spencer Tracy or I don't know, Yours, Mine, and Ours or something like that. But anyway, I loved the Brady Bunch. So this is not one of my favorite episodes by any means. Like, I did not love this episode. I like, the speed up the camera. That's funny, and to show it all, and the movie he made, and I like.
Go ahead.
I like the moment where Greg, the tension. Everybody wants what they want, and he has to put his foot down. Either I'm the director or I'm not. And so, the Mike Brady has to step in and say, we're going to listen to him. This is how we'll do it. Except you got to take the camera lens off. Like, you can't have the cap on there. But other than that, it wasn't a very great episode. But we'll see what it's up against.
So, it's coming up against Happy Days, guys. We all love Happy Days. We've talked a lot about Happy Days on this podcast, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And in our daily lives.
This was my pandemic show. I rewatched the entire 11 seasons during the pandemic. Starting with I started when he jumped the shark. I made up my own. I made up my own watching order. The first one I watched was him jumping the shark, and then I watched all the rest of it, the bad seasons, and then looped around and watched all the good.
That's the way to do
end,
it. So. That's the way to do it. And see, because so many of these shows you do a watch of, and you end on such a sour note with all the garbage, where there's barely the whole cast there anymore.
So I had seen all these not too long ago, and my memory of this one was ugh. This was a goofy one, thinking it was later in the run, but it actually wasn't. There were some really good jokes in it. I enjoyed this one a lot. So this was made in the 70s, but set in the 50s, kind of that nostalgic look back when we were, in these turmoil times of the 70s. We wanted to go back to simpler times.
This was that 50s show of the 70s.
yes.
American Graffiti, that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, so this
the Cunningham family and Arthur Fonzarelli.
This episode was called First Thanksgiving, season 6, episode 12. Now I think Happy Days ran for 11 seasons, something like that total. So this was right in the middle,
halfway.
Yeah. So
Arnold's had not burned down yet.
So, so the Cunninghams and the Fonz, they're going to have their Thanksgiving, and basically we get a reimagining of what it would have been like had they lived back in Pilgrim's times, and they all talk with a very Pilgrim-ish fake
they
accent.
speak Pilgrim like Elizabeth Montgomery did.
Right, very goofy, like, you guys better cool it out, like that kind of like.
Right. Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, I did like it had all the beats of any Happy Days episode. Richie was too much, and you got
He found
Posse
blueberries up on the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What a thrill that must have been.
yeah, and Ralph Mouth, who also did Donnie Most did a voice of the Cavalier in Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. But him and Potsy cracking jokes, and I liked all those jokes. They get to just change it up for those times when they go to Arnold's, and when you go to the bathroom, it just opens to the outside. And I don't know. That stuff still made me laugh, and of course it's all about the Indians were blamed. What was it they were supposedly had done? I forget already.
Oh gosh. I don't think it was really important. The Fonz takes the brunt.
He
of
brought
it.
him there.
Yeah, and they put him in the stocks for it. I remember that.
The stocks are just in there inside Arnold's.
Inside.
Whatever it was called in olden times, and he just gets in it.
But yeah, it's just us learning a lesson to don't because they're saying, oh, those savages might have us for dinner, and then when they come to dinner, it's like, oh, we thought you might have us for dinner.
No, they have Kazuga for dinner.
Yeah, Kazuga.
Which it looks just like a turkey. They said later, it was a turkey. It was whatever. Yeah, they got together and figured it all out, and they had the first Thanksgiving, and everything was fine.
Right. So.
But yeah, Mrs. C had slaved over, the meal, and everybody else was just sitting watching football and weren't helping. So. It was
Put that your bingo
frustrated.
card. Bingo card. Watching football.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
So they learn a lesson about tolerance, and then the family learns a lesson in the present day, which is the past. About not taking Mrs. E for granted.
And just that sentence is why it gets my vote.
So not the best episode of Happy Days versus not the best episode of the Brady Bunch. I would lean Happy Days any days.
Yeah.
I agree. It was Happy Days for me too. So okay. Next matchup. Rolling through it now. Cheers. This was
Cheers.
When
you first mentioned this bracket, I thought, what are some Thanksgiving episodes? And I thought of two. This was one of the two I immediately thought of. That final scene is just embedded in my head as a Thanksgiving scene.
Yeah. That was a huge. Cheers was one of the biggest shows. Of its time, it probably was the biggest show. Thursday night, 9:00, I believe, like must-see TV. Everybody watched it. I remember going to Kings Island the last season of Cheers and buying a Cheers Last Call hat. Just like I was invested. But of course,
set in a bar in Boston.
What a theme song!
The people who work at the bar and the people who frequent the bar.
Did you guys skip these intros? I watched the intros.
No,
I watched it. Yeah.
I wanted the full experience.
Yeah, I totally watched it. Yeah, Jordan, I totally agree. Just so we know, listeners know, this is called Thanksgiving Orphans. It's from season 5, episode 9. And I totally agree. This was one of the first 3 I thought of. And it was simply the end of the episode scene with the food fight that I remembered being such a big deal because at this point, you never saw Norm's wife, Vera. And this was the episode they were going to finally, she was going to be there and on camera and make an appearance. And of course she got a pie thrown in her face. So yeah, this episode, it's exactly what it sounds like. Thanksgiving Orphans. Everybody's
just like the Newhart show.
Yeah, their plans fall through, and for whatever reason, they all decide to go over to Carla's new house for Thanksgiving and have a meal. And it's
frozen
a lot of
turkey, guys.
There's the uncooked.
Turkey. It's not frozen, but it ain't real thought out.
The little popper thing won't pop.
Yeah.
So.
That's because it's frozen.
But yeah, I honestly thought it was really solid.
It was too big. It was Birdzilla. They said it was too big.
Birdzilla. Too big for Carla's stupid oven.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of the episodes. A lot of them just sitting around the living room, watching football or watching the parade. Very common. That's what we do on Thanksgiving. So
and it's a very simple story, but all the actors are so good, and we're in the 5th season already, so they know their characters so well. They interact together so well. So you got pompous Fraser Crane and Cliff Clavin, who never knows when to shut up, and sassy Carla, and haughty,
stupid, dumb Woody,
very dumb Woody.
Yeah, what did he say? He said, come on, guys. This is my first Thanksgiving away from home. I mean, unless you count last year.
Right.
It's just like,
yeah. And
it's sitcom-y. It's like, yeah, you kind of see where it's headed, but like I said, it's so just fun to watch still, because they're all so at the top of their game.
They really are the classic Sam and Diane back and forth. That made the show so good in the beginning years. So yeah, it was
good stuff.
Free
Rebecca,
super solid. So this is going to be
this is a post-coach pre-Rebecca episode.
Yes, that's right in that corner right there.
That's how iconic it was that you can say that and people know what you're saying. So, okay, what's it up against?
This is up against the A-Team.
My submission.
Which was called Family Reunion Season 5, Episode 8, it looks like. So, this was the episode I did not finish.
Oh.
I got busy doing something else and then just never got back to it, but I watched most of it. You
don't know that.
Now, my memory of the A-Team, which we got some of that, was car chases, cars flipping and rolling 6 times, guys getting thrown out windows, shooting guns that never actually hit anything. Like, I remember
planes coming together.
Yeah, I remember. That's what I remember of A-Team. But a lot of this show was like slow and quiet, and them like just dealing with family stuff and on the phone with Washington about all politics. And it's like, was every show like that, or do I just, as a kid, did I just remember the highlights of this?
Yeah, you remember the highlights.
Yeah.
I would say that there's more of that this episode because of it being a special episode about Thanksgiving. But there was a lot. These were, like you said, when you watched Hey, It's Enough, these were long shows. They were hour shows, so they had to add a lot of stuff. This is probably the most feeling you get out of Murdoch. Like he has to stop being wacky and really having to deal with what he's going to do in this situation where we're finding this guy is dying and claims to be Face's father who he's been looking for, and isn't it, and does he tell him or not, because the guy told him not to tell him till he could, and then the guy freaking dies and now he's in trouble because he didn't tell him, and it's like, this is come on.
His face gonna hit on his sister.
Yeah, exactly. When are we gonna stop this before there's like a Captain Steubing going on here? Oh, it's crazy. Now that were you guys aware that at this time, when this episode aired, you called in to vote whether it was Face's father or not?
What?
This was a real thing that happened.
Like a 900 number?
Yeah.
Wow.
You called in to vote, and whether it actually affected anything, I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know, but I mean, there's some skepticism about that at that time, but this was a vote of whether they supposedly had an alternate ending of whether when he finds out at the end, which at the end what'd you say?
That's crazy.
It is crazy. But yeah, we had it all. But with the end we find out it was not his father, I believe. And that was surprising. I was like, whether people voted for that or not, I can't, who knows? Supposedly.
Wait, what? My episode where he was the father.
Well, what? Maybe I got the alt ending. I got the alt ending.
Eclipse didn't watch any of them. Yeah.
That's what I said. What ending did you get?
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else on this. Go ahead, Jordan.
I have no memory of that fifth guy. The other member of the team.
Fifth guy? Who you talking
the
about?
Latino guy.
Oh, I don't even remember. Was he maybe wasn't in my alt episode? Look at the. Let me see the pictures here of who was on it.
Yeah, Hannibal, Face, Murdoch, and BA, but I didn't remember the fifth guy.
Yeah, there's Frankie Santana was his name on there. Yeah, I don't remember.
He knew how to blow up a fire extinguisher so that it would blow up a car. So he was helpful to the crew.
I like what didn't Mr. T did something funny in it. He knocked somebody out in a funny way that I was
hiding in the clothes hangers.
Yeah. It was worth watching. I remember I had memory of this episode, like thinking it was one that stuck out to me because there was a lot. It was a big deal that this about Face, and the call-in thing. But that was it. It wasn't that crazy good.
It was fun. It was nice to revisit, but I wouldn't put it anywhere near Cheers on a bracket. If one were doing a bracket.
Yeah, I agree. It had to be on here because it's us, and it's from 1984, Cliff's favorite year where the series started.
Yeah, that was a good year.
But yeah, gotta go with Cheers on this one.
Me too. Cheers all the way. So, okay. Next we have, this is interesting. Amazing Stories. It was just called
submission.
Thanksgiving. Season 2, episode 9. I remember this series. I remember not liking it as a kid.
Oh, when this series came out, I was like, there was 2 series that were in tandem to me that I remember together. Was Amazing Stories and Alfred Hitchcock Presents, the new version of it. And I preferred Alfred Hitchcock Presents because I don't like the supernatural explanations for things at the end of some Amazing Stories episodes.
You don't.
I like a more concrete, so you could solve it or something, But I remember those shows together. But I watched all these. It was a huge deal. The ratings were through the roof for Amazing Stories.
Now this was Steven Spielberg and Amblin, just like an anthology. So every week was a different story with a different cast. Is that
yeah. I remember The Mummy. The Mummy was like the most famous episode I remember. But anyway, go on.
The main nostalgia I got from watching this was the beginning intro. The theme song and the computer graphics, I vividly remember. I was like, oh my gosh, that was in my head somewhere. Vividly remembered that.
Very young Kira Sedgwick.
Yes, very young. Yes, and Carradine from Kung Fu. So, yeah, this was weird. So Kira Sedgwick's stepdad, David Carradine, they live out in the desert apparently, and there's a well that they're not getting any water out of, and he's really mean and abusive, and they got to go out there, and she's got to quit her caterwauling, playing the guitar and singing songs, and
he pulls his Bowie knife out, just cuts all the strings on her freaking guitar.
Yeah,
like what an asshole.
Truly. And she better get out there and work and find the water, and I don't know, it was completely weird. He goes down in the hole. And something happens. We don't know what. Something just happens. And then suddenly they're pulling up gold trinkets and stuff with notes and which I couldn't read because it was backwards because I watched it on Daily Motion.
Yeah, we had to bootleg this one and the transfer, all the words on the screen were backwards. So it was definitely a foreign language. I loved it. I thought this was great.
The first note that came up, I thought it was just like in some alien language or something. Too. But then later I realized, oh yeah, this is backwards. And they were like, I think they were saying what was on the note.
Yeah. So,
go ahead, Jordan.
I thought this was great. I know I've seen some amazing stories back in the day, but I didn't have any memory of this one. So I saw where it was going pretty early. You kind of knew what was going to happen, but I still thought the payoff was really good. I thought it was good. Yeah, it had a tenuous connection to Thanksgiving because she wanted to go into town and get a turkey, but we don't have water. We can't buy no extraneous turkeys.
And they're basically, this is her making, coming together with the whole people to, make it trading things and, making a connection. And I totally agree with Jordan. I was into this episode. I like amazing stories, and I like the ending, and I like the weirdness of where they jammed Thanksgiving into this and made an amazing stories episode out of it. I was like, yep, I'm in.
Yeah, there wasn't much Thanksgiving for me in it besides the title. It was fine. It was just weird.
It had a turkey. Cool.
So.
And I also very much like that Kira Sedgwick battled underground desert monsters well before her husband Kevin Bacon.
It was holes in the ground. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's nice. Maybe that's how they met.
Okay, so this is up against
obviously
Mr. Belvedere.
My submission.
Season 2, episode 9, The Letter. Wow, this was wild. Mr. Belvedere was something. These episodes.
What a theme song. I love it.
Who cares?
When you drop your deck. I love it. All
right, this was another one I was struggling. Why does Bob Uecker have a butler? I couldn't remember the setup to this show.
Yeah. I don't
Very
remember.
Blue collar family, typical sitcom family, but they've got this stuffy English butler who banters back and forth. I cannot remember the setup.
It's because George is working. His wife Marcia is currently in law school, and their 3 children are not taking good care of the house. Mr. Belvedere shows up, a one-time servant of the British royal family. He's going to keep the household in order.
Where's my Mr. Belvedere?
Exactly.
By those rules. So this episode,
just keep doing it.
It doesn't make any sense. So
what?
Bob Uecker is going on about
It's a little too much of a special episode.
It is.
I'll tell you that.
It is. He's going on about the younger boy, and he's going to put all his trophies up here on the mantle and show them off to everybody, just like he always wanted. And so the teenager, was his name Kevin? Yeah. Kevin, I think. He takes real offense to this, and you're not going to do this to my brother, Dad, and treat him the way you treated me, and he's
because he never won the trophies.
Yeah, he had quit the football team. The pressure his dad put on him.
Giant disappointment, and apparently
so he secretly joins the football team to try to be good and do this, so his brother isn't going to have to.
Right, and what I loved,
he leaves the family.
Yeah, that's what I loved.
He leaves home.
He goes out for football.
Apartment.
He gets an apartment on his own, and the whole
football
season,
mark that
the whole
B3.
The whole football season, he apparently is left and living on his own. They don't go looking for him. There's no worry or concern really of much. And
does any high school in the country play on Thanksgiving?
On Thanksgiving? There was another episode. I was gonna say it, but there's another episode I watched in the last couple of days. I'll see if I remember, that made comment about playing on Thanksgiving. Like a high school, like it was normal. And I was like, what?
And a lot of these shows, like they go out shopping on Thanksgiving morning and all.
Yeah,
like, there's a lot of these things. Like I don't think that's how this works.
No. He got real serious there when he faces off. This was like Kevin's Emmy submission maybe for the season. Is like, I'm gonna really go off and tell him about Dad. Oh, no. Bob Uecker has to like, oh crap, we're getting serious, and I'm gonna be a better dad and all that.
Yeah. So they eventually, do they find the letter? Is that what happens? They find his letter he wrote or something. What was the letter?
Like his football letter. He lettered.
Oh, it was supposed to be the letter
okay.
He was going to get, and
he gives
it to Bob Uecker.
That's what it was.
Here's your dang letter.
Yeah, so they get it out of Mr. Belvedere. Of course,
again, I don't know if they award high school letters like during the game.
Yeah, it's handed out at halftime. Here's a letter. Great job. You get a letter. Yeah, so somehow Mr. Belvedere knows the entire time, and I guess the premise is that he's somehow keeping watch or something over his cockroach infested apartment with the sex worker next door, and the family finds out. They have to go to Kevin's apartment, or they end up going to the game. Then they meet him at the apartment, and there's all the drama and everything.
No one's spared.
Everything is resolved, and he gives the letter at the end tries to give it to his dad, to make him proud or whatever. So I don't know. It was just Mr. Belvedere. Like every episode that I remember was a special episode. I was talking to my wife about this. I remember the first one that always comes to mind is when the little kid's friend has AIDS.
Oh.
And they're all afraid of him. Everybody's afraid of the kid with AIDS because at that point nobody, everybody was scared of it and didn't know anything. So, but yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? This
was this? Oh, this first is Amazing Stories. This is the first. This is the closest one yet, and I got to go Amazing Stories. Like, I love this is a better theme song with it, but.
Yeah. Just theme song alone. I'm going Mr. Belvedere.
I respect that. It's a great theme song.
We've already done that, bracket. It's decided. The little kid puts olives on his fingers, which is that in some more than one show? Somebody did that. I was like, I've never seen that in my life, but apparently that's a thing kids do.
Yeah.
I love Bob Uecker. And he had some pretty good dramatic chops here too. Like the thing with the son and the father, that was a good.
I totally agree with that.
This is the toughest one so far, and I'm the deciding vote. Is that right?
Yes.
I like the Amazing Stories too much. It was good especially for the 80s. I had the good like Twilight Zone kind of twist.
Yep. Twilight Zone is his favorite show of all time. So,
okay, all right. So that was round one of this
one quarter
of this bracket, guys. So I'm sure it's going to pick up a little bit. We're going to run through the rest of this part of the bracket all at once. Yeah, there's some higher seeds in here in this next round, so we're just going to start at the top of it. Guys, I got to say, personally, this is my number one seed in this part of it, but WKRP in Cincinnati.
They got a bye? That was saying?
They had a bye. Bye. This was Turkeys Away. The famous... probably to me the most iconic line related to Thanksgiving period. So help me God, I thought turkeys could fly.
Yeah.
So I have I love WKRP in Cincinnati. One of my favorite shows of that time period or that decade or that's late 70s, early 80s. I love it. I still find it funny today. We'll watch a random episode every now and again. Absolutely banger with theme song. This episode.
Oh, you know it. But they even have to tune in the dial to get there. We went through all before another. But
wondered whatever became of me. I'm living on the air in Cincinnati. Cincinnati, WKRP.
What's it up against then?
So this is up against 8. 8 is enough.
Okay, I say we
do you
don't.
Do you want to talk
too
about
deep.
this one a little bit?
I don't know if we want to go too deep yet. I feel like it's an easy knockoff. Let's wait till we get some more. I agree totally. You got to go. This is going to be 8 is enough for me. Save a little juice here. You don't agree, or are you guys locked up on my screen?
No,
you locked us up. What?
What did you
let's
say?
not talk about it. It's because it's such an easy pick, and then you pick the opposite of.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just think it's got a lot of juice. Let's just skip. It beats 8 is enough and move on.
Oh,
okay. I'm with you. Jordan, do you agree?
Well, I just want to say that I said there were two things that came to mind. It was Cheers and WKRP were the first two most iconic. I'm no problem with this being at number 1 seed. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one down is going to be All in the Family versus Bob Newhart.
I've watched a lot more Newhart than I have All in the Family.
Okay.
But they're both iconic sitcoms. I would lean Newhart just for my own personal. I just thought it was funnier. I laughed multiple times with Newhart. All in the Family is more of a thinker.
Yeah. I just to jump in and do the counter to that, so Cliff can do the tiebreaker here. I liked both of these, but All in the Family is iconic, and I thought this was a pretty good example for a later episode. But I just think Carol O'Connor was a genius at this character, and I thought he did a great job for what was the Thanksgiving episode. I mean, it was still solid of him doing what he does. So I would vote All in the Family.
Okay. Yeah, I liked them both too, obviously. My gut says Newhart, just because I did laugh a lot during this episode. I'd never seen it before. And I just thought it was one of the more fun episodes I had watched.
What if we listen to the theme songs? Which I sat and listened to. I'd love that All in the Family theme song, like even the nostalgia for fake Better Days and that, and
well, it was
I
funny.
hate to see it go.
Carly watched this one. Carly and Alicia watched this with me. And I turned it on, and immediately she was like, "What in the world is this? Is this the show? Is this the song? Why are they singing terribly that way?" Like she,
that show. That's so funny. Like, it's because she doesn't have any.
No, she had no idea it existed.
Yeah, nothing to no perspective, and that theme song like almost makes me, emotional, hearing that takes me so far back, and just what it's all about and everything, like,
yeah,
and them singing it, and they would re-sing it every year.
All right, you've convinced me. We've got to do a theme song bracket.
We have to at least re-release it so people on our feed, and so people listen.
Yeah, you can find that on YouTube now. So.
Yeah, just re-release it as a bonus episode, so people get it without having to make effort. Anyway, but that's gone now. So
yeah,
Bob Newhart.
2 very good episodes. Tough matchup. So
Mugu Gape.
Okay, so we have Happy Days versus Cheers.
Yeah, I'm Cheers.
I'm the only one who would defend Happy Days, but I'll still vote for Cheers. I love Happy Days.
I'm a huge Happy Days guy. I was watching those mostly with you during the pandemic, and we talked about a lot of it.
I remember that.
I remember our updates, and I really love Happy Days. Like, what a cast and show. These particular episodes.
And this is like one of the best examples of Cheers episode versus not the best example of a Happy Days.
That's true. That's true.
Right. Still, it's close, but I We're going cheers.
Okay. Last one of this round is going to be Amazing Stories versus the other bye, which was Family Ties. And
okay.
Yeah. So Family Ties was, I'm looking for the title of the episode. I believe it was
No Nukes.
No Nukes. I didn't watch Family Ties much as a kid, so I had no memory of this this particular
that
episode.
makes me boil.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we just for whatever reason didn't. I'd watch. It was
some No Nukes is Good Nukes, I believe is the title.
Okay.
So this is season 1.
Yeah.
This is season 1.
Early on, where it was still a little more focused on the parents.
Pre-beard.
These hippie 60s parents raising kids in the 80s. And of course, the show later focused much more on Michael J. Fox's Alex P. Keaton and 2 sisters, and they had a 4th kid later. But this first season, and Skippy. The first season was a little more, and I've even heard later, like, Michael Gross, Meredith Baxter Burney, like, were kind of annoyed. Like, they signed on to a show to be the stars of the show, and, like, the show just quickly lost focus. But they were in, but they weren't the focus of every episode. But yeah, this first season, it hadn't quite found its legs yet. It was still a little bit like shaky of what it was gonna be, but it's still so good. It's so well written, so well acted, good jokes, good heart.
Yeah,
I love the parent child stuff. Like
the dynamic is crazy.
Best mother son dynamic in the history of TV. Like
absolutely,
the way Alex
I'm doing a rewatch. You've convinced me.
Yeah.
I'm doing my 10th rewatch of Family Ties.
And yeah, he's the silly dad who gets into stuff and goes off on tangents, and she's the more serious parent who has all the drama and stuff. But they're still they both can deliver a joke like nobody. They both can have real drama. So I love this show. I said the first season's not the greatest, but it's a pretty solid episode. We get arrested on Thanksgiving for protesting against nuclear weapons.
Yeah, so
their morals won't let them sign a paper to get out of jail early to say that they won't protest again.
Right. So
I will say, again, making that note that of all the shows we mentioned tonight, this is my favorite show, and it should be like you should be watching Family Ties. Like Family Ties was epic.
This particular episode was a lot of, the grandparents are coming for Thanksgiving. Mom and dad are going to go protest. The grandparents are obviously, different political beliefs than the parents, hippies, children of the 60s, late 60s. And, they end up getting arrested. They see it on TV. And they have to go visit, mom and dad are in jail. Here come the kids with the grandparents, to bail them out.
Yeah. And really see the grandparents. They show up here because it's Thanksgiving. Bring a lot of biscuit jokes.
Yeah,
lots of jokes. Like grandma can't cook. We don't want to eat
that.
This bad food. Yeah, that.
Not enough, Alex. But the few jokes you get with showing glimpses of what you're going to get with him and Jennifer or him and Mallory, like those jokes, and like you said, between the parents and him, it was just we were just beginning to see that dynamic, what it was going to be, and like. I pick it just because I know it's my love for the show, probably more than anything. But I would go with this over Amazing Stories.
Jordan,
I feel like I have a sitcom bias on this. I don't know that a drama is going to do so hot because, when I think Thanksgiving episode, 99% of the time I'm going to think of a sitcom.
Right.
So I really like that Amazing Stories episode, but I would never stand up against Family Ties. Even a lesser episode of Family Ties is going to blow that out.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't put these places on the bracket. Cliff put us in this position.
That's okay.
We didn't want to have to.
It all comes out in the wash.
Yeah.
So moving back up, WKRP in Cincinnati versus the Bob Newhart Show.
Yeah, that's easy. WKRP.
Yeah, I'm all in on KRP at this point.
I really like Bob Newhart.
Here's just a little bit about KRP. What I would say, that cast against that Bob Newhart cast is just,
hands down,
hours over. Like every piece is perfect in KRP, and
This is kind of a workplace sitcom set in Cincinnati. The radio station's changing formats to rock and roll, so some of them are down for it. Some of them are kind of making an adjustment to it, but it's a bunch of oddballs working together, which that's always a good mix for a good sitcom.
Yeah, with a goofball, Mr. Carlson, the boss, the owner, or the owner's son. He's the manager, I think, technically, but
always everyone trying to keep an effort to keep him out of messing stuff up,
and that's exactly what this episode was. He takes the initiative. He goes and he bugs everybody. Hey, what are you doing? What are you getting into? Trying to help and talk and be involved.
What was Andy Travis's job title?
He was program manager.
Yeah,
he was the one, and I think in the first episode, they've hired, Mr. Carlson has hired Andy Travis to come in, I think from Indianapolis, if memory serves, could be wrong, and he comes in and wants to immediately change the format, and they, of course, Mr. Carlson fights him on that, but he wins it over in the end, and they switch to rock and roll, and Johnny Fever in that first episode, of course, famously. At the end, he's able to say the word booger on the air. So, anyways, this particular episode. So, Mr. Carlson comes up with a marketing scheme that he doesn't tell everybody about. Only, I think, Les and Herb, the two kind of dorky. One's the sales guy and one's the newsman, and the plot is, of course, they buy all these turkeys, and then they're going to fly over downtown and push the turkeys out of the helicopter, and they'll ascend.
But we don't know any of that.
No,
it's always it has to be a plot mechanic that it has got to be a secret, because anyone would have stopped him from doing this.
Right.
It's like he's the only one that knew that that's what he was going to do with it, or somebody would have said, "Hey, this is stupid."
Yeah.
And again, I believe it was on Thanksgiving Day. I don't know what you're going to do with a live turkey in the middle of Thanksgiving Day.
Right. Yes.
Details.
So, but anyways,
it didn't blow me away this time, because I had not seen it in decades,
mm-hmm.
and knowing the ending takes some away from it. I knew the exact quote when it was coming, but it's still a sitcom. It's a very iconic moment of an iconic sitcom.
That's where I was like. I haven't watched it forever, that episode, and I was like, I enjoyed the first half more than the second, because I've seen clips of the second half a million times, but I was like, I get to just watch these people talking and hanging out, and because I love these characters. And there was one where they were talking, all complaining, that scene where they're all complaining about Carlson, they're complaining to Andy Travis and lying, talking, and Venus Flytrap says, he wanted to know if he wanted a watermelon or something. I was just like, what a bad joke.
Yeah.
I was just like, jeez.
I hadn't watched it.
I did like the other joke where he's like, he was scared of me. It's like, that was a good dynamic or whatever. It's like, I like that better when he was scared of me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And of course, Howard Hessman, Dr. Johnny Fever, like him sitting in there, pretending he's asleep, just like grooving to just listen to the music. I was like, that's that guy. It always reminds me of a guy from the Muppets. Anyway,
don't touch it.
I still would vote for it over Newhart. So or Bob Newhart show is what it is.
That speaking of the ending, that performance, the narrative.
By Les Nessman in front of the shoe store.
Giving the play-by-play of
the humanity.
Because you don't see a turkey ever.
No.
You're imagining it like you would on the radio.
It's
so well
brilliant. So
it's a helicopter, and it's coming this way.
A helicopter?
It's flying something behind it. I can't quite make it out. It's a large banner, and it says, Happy Thanksgiving. What a sight, ladies and gentlemen, what a sight. The copter seems to be circling the parking area now. I guess it's looking for a place to land. No, something just came out of the back of the helicopter. It's a dark object. Perhaps a skydiver plummeting to the earth from only 2,000 feet into the air. Second to the third. There's no parachutes yet. Those can't be skydivers. I can't tell just yet what they are, but... Oh, my God, they're turkeys! Oh, Johnny, can you get this? Oh, they're crashing to the earth right in front of our eyes! One just went through the windshield of a parked car! This is terrible. The cars running around pushing each other? Oh, my goodness! Oh, the humanity! Oh, people are running about. The turkeys are hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement. I don't know how much longer the crowd is running for their lives. I think I'm going to step inside. I can't stay out here and watch this any longer. No, I can't go in there. Children are searching for their mothers, and not since the Hindenburg tragedy has there been anything like this. I don't know how much longer I can hold my position here, Johnny. The crowd...
Les, are you there? Les isn't there. Thanks for that on-the-spot report, Les. For those of you who just tuned in, the Pinedale Shopping Mall has just been bombed with live turkey. Film at 11.
Yeah, WKRP for me.
I'm going to give Bob Newhart a sympathy vote, but that's fine.
That's
sure.
good.
Perfectly.
Cool.
Okay, that brings up Cheers and Family Ties.
One
One
is a personal favorite. One is, the sitcom royalty.
Yeah. Based on these 2 episodes alone, personally, I think my vote is Cheers. Just not on the show.
I think that's your influence in the jury. You were going to vote Cheers based on either one.
No, not necessarily.
You said you didn't hardly watch Family Ties, so of course you're going to vote Cheers. I based solely on these episodes alone, I would still vote Family Ties.
Okay.
Because I enjoyed those moments more with this family than with I like Cheers. This is a good episode of Cheers, but it's not one of my favorite episodes of
this
Cheers.
Episode, the thought I had as I was rewatching this episode of Cheers was, this is like the first Friendsgiving, something common now that happens, especially with younger people, kind of found families type of thing, that wasn't.
The first Thanksgiving was the first Friendsgiving.
So yeah. Anyways, Jordan, go ahead.
Well, see, this does kind of bug me. This is not very KPP to have Cheers and WKRP as the 2 winners in this bracket. Like that's the most obvious. When you Google it, that's going to be the first 2 results. Like we should throw a wrench into things and have something completely different. Amazing Story should have won,
which is always fun. That's always fun to do. I totally agree.
But I think I gotta go with Cliff of just these 2. Family Ties versus Cheers would not even be a choice for me. That's such an obvious choice. But if I am just looking at these 2 episodes, the Thanksgiving themes, I think just for this one moment, I think Cheers would have the edge.
A moment in time.
Okay, so that brings us to WKRP in Cincinnati versus Cheers.
I'm gonna stick with it. I think Cheers is the better episode between even these 2. So I'm going Cheers.
I can't do that.
I didn't figure he would. So that's why I wanted to say that.
I enjoyed seeing all these. I just think, 2 incredible casts. Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. These are fantastic shows. I just, it's what a lot of people would say is the best episode of KRP versus a good episode of Cheers. So yeah, I'm going with KRP.
Yeah, it's KRP for me. So okay, that wraps it up for that quarter
All right, so we got one of the final four already decided. What side of the bracket are we moving to this time?
I'm just going to go same side. Going to move directly down to the next region or whatever, quarter, whatever you want to call it. We're going to do something a little different. I don't know if we've ever done it this way before, but...
we have not.
Okay.
I disapprove.
So originally...
And yet it's very us. We've never done it, and yet it's just our style.
So a little bit of compromise here. Originally, the list, I picked one episode per series. Okay, per IP, per property, whatever you want to call it. And there's a couple series on here. It's got several episodes that are all, they're kind of series that
they made a point of having Thanksgiving episodes, so
they're
we
big
need to
thing.
acknowledge that.
Yes. So we're going to start off here with 2 episodes of Friends. They're going to go up against each other, and the first one is going to be Friends season 4. That is episode 8. The one with Chandler in a box.
Wow, what a one to start with.
I know you.
What I will say is, this is the one I said, "Hey, you got to have this on here because the one you had is fine, But
yeah,
I think this is the best of the bunch. I watched all the Friends Thanksgiving episodes, and we won't discuss all of them, but this was my favorite of the bunch. So, I mean, you got. First off, I know we've discussed this show before, and it wasn't on Jordan's radar. He wasn't feeling this show ever, and I don't know what I've said about it before, but I think it's a really good show, and I've seen it all. I've watched it through 2 or 3 times in my life, and I still will laugh out loud at things. And this episode in particular had 2 or 3 times that I laughed out loud. It was like some lines I knew were coming, but I was excited about them. I couldn't wait till someone said this line or that line. And, I like the dynamic between all these characters and stuff. But this particular episode was right in the middle of a storyline where Joey had been dating this girl. What's her name? Paget Brewster Sheep. And on previous episodes, and but they had a huge connection. Just should have been with Chandler, and it was like, what were they going to do about it? And they hemmed and hawed, and so they had finally he had seen them kissing or whatever, and but this episode was about him trying to salvage his friendship.
Yeah, the roommates.
Even to the point that she was willing, to break up with him. She didn't, but he had to get on Joey's level of like how to, how to make it up to him. And Joey had spent all this time in the entertainment center one time when they were robbed, and he was like, I thought about how disappointed you were going to be in me, and here you stole my girlfriend, and so I really liked that he had to get in this box and think about what he had done while they're doing Thanksgiving, and there's all I don't even remember all the other plot lines going on, but it was a funny episode. But ultimately, it's kind of the there's great lines in there. I like the line where they're watching the game. Okay, mark your bingo cards. They're watching football on TV, and they're like, oh, well, yeah. And he goes, oh, what happened? And he goes, you slept with my girlfriend. Or you kissed my girlfriend or whatever. Yeah. I was just like, yeah, those lines are classics. Remember why you're in that friggin' box,
The box is so absurd. It's enormous.
And the fact that they moved it over in the other apartment so he could be in there for Thanksgiving.
Right. It's got one little hole cut in it. It cracks me. At one point, they cover up the hole. And get off the hole. Get off the hole.
And the finger coming out at the end, waving and stuff like. Just the fact that he doesn't say anything, when she gives her speech, like he doesn't break down. He sticks to being his friend, doing what Joey wanted him to do, and I just think it's a great show, and that was a great episode.
So if you're not familiar, this was a 90s sitcom about 6 friends.
Yeah.
And you're up to speed.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Friends.
I don't like the story. If you're going to say it, don't say it, because I'm so sick of everybody saying. I'm sure you're not, but so sick of everybody saying, "Oh, but Ross, if you really look, Ross is the worst." It's like, shut up. I'm so sick of that stuff. It's just like David Schwimmer is great on this show, and he is great as playing the character he's playing. It's like he's totally obnoxious and annoying, and he is great at it.
I got a hot take if you want it.
Yeah,
I think Chandler's
I
the worst.
don't.
Poor rest in peace. Chandler is awful on this show.
Oh,
I hate Friends. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
It's great.
Yeah, I definitely I really liked Friends. You know, when it was on, the original never missed an episode. It was appointment television for everybody.
Yeah.
I think that Thursday night. But I've also seen. I feel like I've seen every episode so many times that it's lost a little bit of luster for me now, to the point where I quit watching it if it was on or something. It used to be one of those shows, like if it was on, we stopped and we watched, you know, on a rerun or whatever. But we haven't done that for a long time.
Well, that doesn't happen anymore. You're not randomly watching anything.
That's true.
Like this was I haven't watched this show for years, but so I was
I still have cable. And I did that before I signed up for all these streaming services. I went through and like you can check like airings. Yeah. So I was like, are any Thanksgiving episodes airing in the next week? And I could scroll through and see what episode. And it's on probably 6 different channels for hours at a time. Like there are hundreds of episodes of Friends on every week. So yeah, the people, analog folks, still are seeing that.
So for me, it had been a while. I liked this episode. I thought it was funny. It's not my favorite, but yeah, I definitely that's a show that I associate with Thanksgiving episodes. They've got a lot of classics throughout the years, a lot of seasons that they always made a point to have a Thanksgiving episode. It was Chandler hated Thanksgiving. It was, you know. So okay.
The one it's up against, I watched before it was even on the list. That was one I saw and recorded as it airs. Like, oh, there's a Thanksgiving one, and then later you added to the list. So I watched it.
I have a this is season 3, episode 9, the one with the football. So this is the football game episode.
I before I knew that we were gonna be adding it, I had already watched it because I think of that episode.
Right.
I love the joke, like they're gonna go outside, let's go play football, and we're not allowed to play football. It's like I should have added to the bingo card that there would be a special cup that you could win, because that happens on other episodes of things. But the Geller Cup or whatever, that's good stuff.
Yeah, Monica and Ross are not allowed. Their parents won't let them play anymore because they played every year on Thanksgiving, and it always ended up in a fight. And you know, I think they even made a reference to like Monica beating up Ross or
somebody
something.
got put in the hospital.
So this was one of my favorite Thanksgiving episodes for sure. It was kind of the first one I thought of. I remember watching it even one year on Thanksgiving over at my grandparents with the whole family, and we're watching them play the football game. And it's got funny jokes in there. You know, Rachel sucks, and Phoebe's never played before. And of course, Joey's really good. And as they're picking teams, you know, Rachel, she has never been through it. She doesn't know any better. And she gets upset because she gets picked last. And he's like, you know, Russell's like, yeah, but I picked you. You got picked. And she's like, nobody wants me. That type of thing. Of course, she sucks and she can't catch anything and doesn't know what to do. So they just tell her to keep going along. But there's some funny jokes in there too. When they decide to, after they pick teams, they've decided to, they get an argument and then they decide to switch to boys versus girls. And so that cracked me up. There's one where I think Chandler's like running down the park, down the field, and Phoebe flashes him. and he stops and he can't concentrate and he, grab the ball.
Phoebe's funny. She's another late night show. She's one of the better ones,
Yeah. So
easy to like.
Yeah, there's kind of a B story a little bit with some Dutch woman that ends up watching them, and Chandler and Joey are fighting over her, and it's kind of silly, but yeah, I mean
it's fine. It's not one of my favorite episodes or anything, but it's definitely one I think of for Thanksgiving where Monica goes into her hardcore mode that she does on many episodes. Yeah.
So yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
so Jordan, out of these two
you
episodes,
had to pick between the worst episodes you ever saw of your least favorite show.
I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. I don't. Humor is subjective. We all have different tastes. So I don't want to convince anyone that they're wrong for liking a show. There's just not one that I have ever liked.
Yeah.
And I always had that feeling of like, I've talked about this before, where like I stopped watching it in high school, where it was must-see TV. The next day, everyone talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, because I just wasn't enjoying it, and I stopped watching it, and it felt like, wow, I'm a rebel. Like I'm not watching Friends. Like I thought I was, edgy or whatever. And so like I've thought back, as an adult, I'm like, everyone still loves this show. Am I missing out? Like, was I not seeing something? Would I really like it if I watched it again? Because I haven't watched an episode in 20 years. And then watching these three, I'm like, yeah, I probably was. I'm good.
All right.
I don't need to.
Right. I mean, the jokes they were funnier then for sure because it was more timely and things. And I'm probably laughing at them now because I'm anticipating them and remembered them as being funny. But yeah. Anyway,
between the two, I like the football episode better. So that doesn't seem to be the consensus here, but I like that one better.
Well, it sounds like Cliff likes it pretty well. I just like the other one because I there's that joke. There's another joke in that I really liked. I just like the stuff between Chandler and Joey and that the heartfelt things and
Yeah, they're both real solid episodes. They're very different when it comes comparing Friends episodes. They're very different, but for some sort of nostalgia purpose, I like the one with the football a little better. Just it's fun. It's fun, more fun, I should say, than I guess the other one. But yeah, I could go either way. But if I'm picking, it's the one with the football.
Well, I hate this. What's the before? Well, it doesn't matter. You pick that. What's the other?
Play it,
yeah, we can
do the next one because I can't remember what happened in which episode. No.
So the third episode of Friends on this list, the way our bracket works is the winner of this one then plays against the other Friends episode to get us down to one Friends episode. I thought that would work the best as a compromise to one episode per thing. But the other one is the one with all the Thanksgivings. It's from season 5, episode 8. This is when the group remembers all the past Thanksgivings of like when they were first they're in college, and of course Ross and Chandler are college roommates. They're and the big thing of it was like it's got part of it. It's got them in like Flockus. It was Miami Vice like outfits coming home for Thanksgiving.
No, the first scene was like Flock of Seagulls.
Okay.
And then it flashes back to a year later. Like, didn't we look silly? But they're in Miami Vice get up.
They've got like the rough makings of a beard, the 5 o'clock shadow look. And of course, Monica in the beginning of the episode, she's still, big and wearing the fat suit. And then when they come back the next year, she's lost all the weight because Chandler insulted her. And she, of course, takes offense to it and uses that as motivation because she, in the first part of the episode, she kind of has a little thing for Chandler, some foreshadowing there. And then when they come home the next year, she has lost all the weight.
So I'm thinking of asking Rachel out tonight. Maybe playing her that song we wrote last week.
Emotional Knapsack?
Yeah.
Right on. But don't take too long, okay? Because, we're going to test out our fake IDs tonight, right, Clifford Alvarez?
Listen, Roland Chang. If things go well, I may be out with her all night.
Dude, don't do that to me.
Oh, no, it's cool. You can stay here. My parents won't mind.
No, it's not that. I just don't want to be stuck here all night with your fat sister.
Hey.
Monica, why don't you finish off these pies? I don't have any more room in the fridge.
No. No, thank you.
Well, Judy, you did it. She's finally full.
And looks amazing.
That was my biggest gripe of the whole thing is like the show is making fat jokes. The show is having you laugh at Monica. And then Chandler says, "What, your sister's fat?" And that whole audience goes, "Ooh," like you're supposed to feel the show is making fun of her because she's fat. But then Chandler says she's fat and we're supposed to be mad at her.
Right.
But then by the end of the episode, Monica has to apologize to Chandler. She dropped a knife on his toe or whatever.
Yeah, she cut his toe off.
They completely twisted it by the end where you're supposed to feel bad for Chandler. So the show is manipulating the audience into pretzels of how we're supposed to feel.
That's very true. I agree with that.
But this one has the famous their head in a turkey bingo card.
Yeah.
And like the turkey with the sunglasses and the hat on, like that's on T-shirts. They make Funko Pops of that. Like that is, as far as like a visual from Friends, that is one of the all-time, iconic visuals.
Yeah, I hate it. I think that's the kind of jokes that those do nothing for me. Like that's stupid jokes to me. This episode was fine. I'm going back to the other one that you guys didn't vote for. Because I was checking to make sure what this one thing I liked, good joke, another reason. Because that one got like a 9 rating for people and stuff. But the part where the storyline that Rachel supposedly exchanges all her gifts that she gets. They were doing Secret Santa. And yeah, that was another good thing at the end of the episode where Joey says, this is your Secret Santa gift or whatever, and then he has to trade for Chandler after they've been trading people the whole episode. But no, the joke where she supposedly exchanges all the gifts and isn't nostalgic or whatever, and she stops off and comes back with her box and proves that she is. She kept this, and she kept that, and whatever, and she said she has the dinosaur tooth from when they classic episode in the when they
do it in the museum. Yeah.
Right. And it's just, she does that and it's like really makes her point. And I just love the way Ross says, "I'm sorry. Also, you're not supposed to take those. They're like 1 million years old."
We have a team of people looking for that.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, that is a good joke. Like, and just the way he took the moment to be like, "I'm sorry. Also," I was like, that's good. I think that's the best episode of the 3. So you guys pick whichever one you want. I'm not voting on anything.
We both picked football for the first round.
I know.
I think I'd stick with football over the flashbacks.
I agree. I like the football
one. There was also an episode with Brad Pitt that I watched where he comes back and he was a fat guy in high school and she made fun of him and now he shows up and she's under his skin and there was a club. Him and Ross had started a Hate Rachel Green club in high school and stuff, and she's just finding out about it. It's pretty funny. And in that episode, I dare anyone to watch that episode and not think that Brad Pitt is the worst actor in that episode. They all were. I thought he was terrible in that episode, like delivering his lines and stuff. I was like, ugh, you're the better actor than any of these people, but not in this episode.
What was he dating Jennifer Aniston at that point?
Yeah, they were married. I think they were married by then.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And there's also an episode featuring Underdog, which is going to be a recurring theme.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, the one with the football is where we ended up with. Okay. Moving on. Out of Friends land, we're going to go down to Full House. The Miracle of Thanksgiving, Season 1, Episode 9. Did you guys watch this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched them all.
This
Whatever
was
you put on.
Danny Tanner. His wife died, which most of the Full Houses I've seen, I think, are probably later in the run, and I don't ever remember even mentioning I don't remember a lot of references to the wife. So this one was still like they're dealing. This is the first Thanksgiving since she passed. Like I think did this first season maybe dwell on that a little more of like.
Yes.
The mom's not there anymore. So yeah, her brother has to move in to help, and their friend Dave Coulier and what's his name, John Stamos have to move in to help raise the girls. So yeah, I don't remember dead mom being a plot for a lot of these episodes later on, but it was heavily into this one. Because they had to do Thanksgiving like Mom would do. They wanted to go out to a restaurant for Thanksgiving. Like that's not what Mom would want us to do.
Right. Yeah. That first season was definitely a little heavier on the premise of the show. I remember this episode. I really liked Full House the first few years when it had come out. I was still pretty young. Had a cool theme song and funny kids and guys and. So I kind of remembered this one, as far as the story went. I liked it. I mean, it was fine. It was a very, kind of peak Full House for me. And it was silly and they had the same kind of, Full Housey jokes and it's very clean and crisp and the kids, they're cute or whatever. So it was fine for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate Full House. I watched it. I've watched many episodes of Full House, and it's one of my least favorite sitcoms. Like, yeah, I think some of the things the kids say are funny and stuff.
Yeah,
but
the
like,
first,
I just do not. I never was into it. Just was It was the same episode every time.
The first couple, maybe 3 seasons were way better than the history of the show.
All right, I just gave Seth a cut it out.
Okay, so this is up against the Fresh
But that
Prince.
was we had DJ wanted to be in charge of the turkey. We had a frozen turkey.
Right.
Yeah.
We burned the pie. It was very.
We dropped
familiar.
the budget.
It was very familiar to a lot of these other episodes we watched. It wasn't super unique. But again, a very special lesson we learned about it's more than just the food. It's being together with the family and blah blah blah.
So yeah, Thanksgiving was ruined. This is up against the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. This is again season 1 of that show, episode 12, First Thanksgiving. So this is the episode where Will hasn't been in Bel-Air all that long, and his mom flies out for Thanksgiving dinner, and she, they're from a tough neighborhood in Philly, and all about hard work.
You may have heard.
And yes,
West Philadelphia. Born and raised. So yeah, the mom wants him in Bel-Air to have a better life and a better education, but when she gets there, she sees that he's not pulling his weight, and he's
going to be soft.
Yeah,
out here.
He's not doing chores. He's having other people do his work for him. So
She's
no way.
Highly offended by Jeffrey the butler being there. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not just Will. She's upset with the other kids too, and how they don't pull their weight around, and they're all whatever. So, yeah.
I noticed.
I don't remember seeing the mom on any. I mean, I watched a ton of Fresh Prince.
She was on some, yeah.
Yeah, she was
but early on, mostly. Yeah.
Yeah.
If ever. I
know
none of you had a problem.
She's got curlers in her hair.
Neither of you had a problem with,
that's
with
not
this
the same
Mr. Belvedere. You guys, I didn't see a problem with this Mr. Belvedere. You guys were fine.
So, yeah.
Mr. Bel-Air video.
That's it. We're done. We did it. I don't know if we'll spell it, but search for the hashtag.
It's a hyphen in there. I don't know. What do you guys think? Preference? Anything else about Fresh Prince? I mean,
this was season 1. Will Smith, like the guy was exploding as a TV star, as a music star, like just a world of charm, and just there's just more to that than Full House. Full House never quite expanded beyond the what it was in these first few episodes.
Now that I am remembering Joey singing, that makes me even more want to say Fresh Prince. That episode of Full House, it's so way too much of him singing stupid whatever he was doing. I don't know. I hated it. So Fresh Prince for me.
So Fresh Prince moves on. That brings us over to Everybody Loves Raymond. The episode is called No Fat, Season 3, Episode 10.
I watched multiple Raymond Thanksgivings.
Mm-hmm. and
which one was this one?
This was definitely my favorite. This is the one where Marie decides to make healthy options, and Deborah helps her. Give her a book and suggestions, and everybody gets mad because you don't experiment at Thanksgiving with new stuff. And then she makes the tofu turkey out of a like a mold. Tofurkey out of a mold, and it jiggles. And Ray ends up secretly ordering a Thanksgiving dinner that gets delivered.
Yeah, I feel like they all meet out there in the middle of the night. Is that the one where they all just start eating in the middle of the night?
That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, what's the one also where she got new glasses and started noticing everyone's flaws?
Yeah. Doesn't she take the glasses off by the end of it or something?
I can't remember.
So,
anyway.
Any other thoughts on Everybody Loves Raymond?
As far as the show, I think it's a really good show.
Yeah.
I watched through that. I had randomly seen episodes, but then at one point I took the time to watch the whole series, and I liked it. I think he's funny. I think she's fun. I think it's a good ensemble.
Yeah, this is not one I ever watched. I know it has it ran forever. It had great ratings, won Emmys and stuff. So it's a very beloved sitcom. But it just watching this one is all I really have to go on. Like, just felt like such that one of the last vestiges of that boomer humor of like, I hate my wife, why can't I just do what I want to do? I'm the man of the house. Like, I got to get this nagging wife, and they can't cook, and I got to go to the garage and be a man. Like, that kind of that's such a classic sitcom trope of like old days. And it's like, this is kind of a modern show, but it's also very much a throwback to that.
It's a classic.
Yeah, I think it is a little between stage. I would say there's not as much as the macho in this as there is. Right. My wife can't cook and stuff. Yeah,
right.
And
But Ray's not a macho.
There's no. He wouldn't know how to fix anything but he definitely does try to. He's very. She's how is she going to react to everything I do?
So,
but I did like the ending. Like, again, it was
family.
Some easy jokes of the tofu, and them all taking a bite and doing some physical comedy. Like, there were some good bits, but the end where it's like, we're all going to fight, but we come back together at the end, and we're just going to gather over this meal, and we're not even going to talk about it. We're just going to enjoy the meal.
Yep.
So, this is up against what I consider they were kind of on the same time. They were kind of connected with certain characters between the shows. Had some episodes like that. King of Queens, Supermarket Story, again, season 1, episode 10. All of these episodes are going to be around 9, 10, 11 on pretty much all these shows. But this is very early on King of Queens.
Yes. Which I like this show also.
Yeah, I mean, it's
funny. It's got Jerry Stiller, and he's hilarious. What the greatest quote? What? I've never had a Dutch woman. The lady giving out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this one is set entirely in a grocery store. I thought that was a good change up for a lot of what these episodes are. This is all just about getting the groceries and her changing halfway through when she doesn't get the TV dinners or whatever.
Right.
She's going to try to make a whole meal. And she has to follow that lady around. And everybody's, I love that the one friend, that guy's still in line at the end.
He's trying to check out, but he keeps switching lines, and every time he does, he gets a little further back in the line.
Right,
And at the end, even when Doug and Carrie are checking out, and they look behind, and he's like way back behind him. They're like, "How did you get back there?" He's like, "Can I get up?" And they're like, "No." But that's what kind of I'd forgotten.
Again, I like that he's right about this. Is a very similar dynamic to the. It's the same era, same dynamic as Raymond.
Yeah.
She's the wife that, you create by you acting scared of her all the time and stuff. You create this where she has to be like, you're stupid,
Yeah, for sure. And
this eventually leads to show, Kevin can F himself kind of like that, it's the dumb husband who never has any consequences for his goofy actions, and the wife who says, "Oh, Kevin, how could you do this?" But yeah, that it's a trope for sure.
I like both of these shows, and what got me about this episode was because in later seasons, Doug had the two friends, Patton Oswalt and what was the other guy's name? Anyways, in this episode, Vinny is still, or whatever, Vinny I think is still supposed to be one of his main friends.
Well, it's a mixed universe too. Ray and him are friends,
right?
Ray Romano is friends with.
Yeah, there's some crossover.
They're in the
stuff.
same universe.
Yeah, same universe. Definitely. But
and so again, we're this is first season, right?
Yeah, first.
So this
season.
is like the whole thing is the guilt trip because Jerry Stiller's wife has passed. I think it's fairly recently. Which is that he has to move in with them after she dies. Is that the idea?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole. He guilt trips her. We can't eat a TV dinner for Thanksgiving. We've got to do. I've never gone without a homemade meal. So she feels guilty. So then by the end, he wants to ditch him for the Dutch woman.
Right.
I've never had a Dutch.
Right. So yeah. Both funny episodes to me, but very very similar. So I don't know what with you guys what shakes out.
This is close.
Yeah, close. I've seen more King of Queens than I have Raymond. Not a ton. But so I just got to go on these single episodes. I don't know. I might be leaning Raymond.
I don't know. Does Raymond have a theme song?
Yeah. Well,
is that the tiebreaker?
Yeah, that's what I'm using.
He
has the King of Queens.
It has a very
home to you.
Yeah, but in this episode, it wasn't that that intro was the original one, which was just like music.
Yeah, it was different. Yeah, but what was the Raymond one?
It's just kind of a jingle.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I can kind of hear that. I didn't remember if there was anything. I'm going with King of Queens. It's got words usually.
Okay. I'm gonna go Ray.
The Dutch woman line. Jerry Stiller was the best thing I saw in either episode, so that's what I'm going
with. Jerry Stiller is hard to top, yes. And he was my favorite part of that show, definitely. So simply basing it on the main character Ray versus Doug. I think I like Ray a little better.
I agree with that.
So I'm going. Everybody loves Raymond.
Okay, tiebreaker. What'd you say?
Queens, it's about Thanksgiving. It's there's grocery shopping, whatever. But I really like that final scene in Raymond.
Okay.
To have the meal. So
I agree with that. That's good. Okay, Raymond goes through.
Okay. Next, we have Roseanne. It's one of our fun poor shows, I guess, right?
Yeah, so what I was going to do today was watch all the other Roseanne Thanksgiving episodes, but apparently in the past week they have went off of whatever service I watched that one on. So there's no to watch currently Roseanne without paying. So this is the only one I got to watch. And
this is called
which I hate.
Sure.
I hate that because I am a Roseanne show defender. I don't give a crap about her personally, but I really like that show. When I remember really liking Roseanne, and I think she was funny. The whole cast was funny. John Goodman, their rapport, Laurie Metcalf, there was a lot. The kids were good. There's a lot of good stuff in that show, and I didn't think this totally exhibited it this episode, but
so
still.
Just to backtrack a little bit, this episode is season 2, episode 9. We Gathered Together. My history. Roseanne's kind of a weird show for me because it was a show we watched at least the first several seasons. It was a huge hit, but a lot of episodes they tackled stuff that was, I think, uncomfortable at my house. Like stuff we didn't talk about, or pay, acknowledge.
There was sex and stuff. The kids had real problems and things.
Right. So it's a weird show for me. Nothing I hold a lot of nostalgia for, but I really like this episode. So, they might be a little more famous for their Halloween
their parents.
Episodes.
They're famous for those. 100%. Yeah, those are their.
We didn't watch much Roseanne. I don't think ABC came in very well on the Rabbit Ear, so there's a lot of ABC shows I'm not very familiar with. So back in that era, we didn't watch much ABC.
Yeah,
but I recognize it as a very important sitcom. So that working class look at things, a very unvarnished. Sitcoms are Ozzie and Harriet. Mom wore a dress around the house and pushed their sweeper. Like that was not this show whatsoever. So it had a little more grounded, realistic look. And we joke about having fun poor shows. We like the sitcoms about the poor folks. So.
Yeah.
But it also seemed like my memory of Roseanne are maybe the later years of like where it went kind of over the top and like I said, the Halloween episodes or whatever they would do. This was so simple. This was such just a family. The in-law or the mom and dad are coming to visit. Oh, there's some tension with Jackie. Oh, Dan just wants to go play football. Like it just not a whole lot happened. It felt very just like it was just all the Thanksgiving beats. It was still good. Like I liked all the interactions and stuff, but there wasn't a big. I was kind of waiting for a twist or to something crazy to happen, the turkey to blow up or something. But it was all just very kind of grounded. There's tension kind of simmering under the surface, but it wasn't crazy sitcom energy.
Yeah, it definitely tried to give you that real feel of what was going on at the holidays and his dad and Crystal,
right?
And that stuff. That's like an ongoing story and things like. I like that moment where he's like, leave her alone,
Yeah.
and he's like, hey, I'm alone,
I'm alone. I'm alone too, or I'm lonely too, or whatever he said. Yeah. Ned Beatty plays Dan's father in the show, and he was good. I thought it was a perfectly fine episode.
What's up against?
So this is another ABC show. Jordan, I agree. Even to this day, just so you know, the paperclips don't agree with ABC around here. So, like, if you jam a paperclip in the back of your TV, ABC ain't coming in. So we're too
Disney
far
magic.
away. Yeah. But yeah, Boy Meets World, classic 90s TGIF show. This is called Turkey Day, season 4, episode 10. You guys watched this one, I assume?
I never did I never watched TGIF. I never watched those shows as they were airing, but I watched them all later. Like in college, they were on in syndication in the afternoons. My roommate and I would sit around and watch these shows we were way too old for, but Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Boy Meets World, we watched basically all of them.
Yeah, I watched them. I watched this show because the older brother always dated hot chicks. It was just episode after episode of hot girlfriends for him. So yeah, I watched the show.
Yeah,
and Topanga was there.
Yeah, Topanga. Yeah, we saw her in Columbus. She looks great. Last year or the year before, I can't remember. Last year, I think. Anyways, off topic. I didn't watch Boy Meets World much. I think I've mentioned this before. It was a little bit later on in the TGIF stuff, and I was like teenager. Friday night, I'm not going to be home to sit and watch this stuff. So I knew of the show. I'd seen a few episodes, probably here or there, a time or two. Knew the characters, knew the premise.
it's very weird because the first couple seasons are so cut and dry, sitcom-y. You know, well, Corey, what are you into this week? And then it started getting meta and self-aware, and like by the end of it, it was making crazy meta jokes about itself, and like it was so self-aware, like it became way more interesting and smarter the longer it went, which is kind of weird for a sitcom like that. But yeah, the early seasons and the later seasons are night and day difference. It's one of my favorite jokes of all time, because early in the run, Sean blows up a mailbox with like an M80, and it's like this special episode. Sean learns a lesson about destroying people's property or whatever. And then like one of the last seasons, there's some joke. He's like, I blew up another mailbox. Like, and they laugh about it. Like they just bring back to how silly that all was. So this is definitely
that brings back
on.
memories. My friend had access to a ton of M80s. We blew up so many mailboxes when I was a kid. One went off right as a car went by one time. Like, we put it in this big white mailbox right across from BF Goodrich, and somebody was passing at the exact moment it went off, and they freaking squealed their tires like it was awesome.
So this is like season 4, so it's kind of gotten past those original years, but there's still some good jokes, but it's that, like, you know, they get invited to a Thanksgiving at the trailer park with Sean's family, and you know, no one's comfortable. Like, they, you know, the folks in the trailer are embarrassed, and then the Matthews
neighbors
are the
and
richer family. Yeah,
But
like one. Yeah.
What season did you say this was?
4.
Okay, it's been a while. Parents?
Huh?
Shauna's parents.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Like,
it's,
he was
his dad
or
wasn't
post
around.
him living with that one guy or the teacher or whatever.
There's a stretch, like his dad's not around for a while. He lives with the Matthews, and then his dad comes back, but then he leaves again. So he moves in with Jonathan, teacher.
Yeah,
This
I
was
can't
at
remember.
a point they were all living together at the trailer park.
Yeah, I was just like, but I couldn't pinpoint when was this, before or after or any of that. I have no idea.
Yeah, Sean and
The
Corey
trailer
are, like,
was the biggest. It's bigger than my house. That trailer was bigger
Oh, it
than
was
my house.
humongous.
Oh, that was what I was thinking. None of the writers on the show have ever been to a trailer park.
Obviously.
Because it had no semblance to reality of how people act or how people dress or how people decorate a trailer.
Insanity.
So, okay. Yeah, that was pretty much it. You guys want to go ahead and vote on that? Roseanne versus Boy Meets World.
I can't think of 2 more different shows.
There's some interesting matchups on this bracket.
They've been running Boy Meets World on Freeform or something. I've watched a couple episodes here recently. I still enjoy that show. It's fun. They said Roseanne's very well known for these holiday episodes and these yearly specials. So,
Boy Meets World, they went to there's a ridiculous episode where they go to Disney World. It's one of the shows they went to Disney.
Topanga to Disney.
And it's absurd. I'd love to talk about that episode someday, but yeah.
You know you're gonna do a bracket of going to Disney episodes.
Yeah, but they were on ABC, so
You have to do just theme park ones, so you can include Kings Island.
Right.
Somewhere.
You're right.
What's your
would be
pick,
all for
Cliff?
that. I'm going Roseanne.
Oh yeah. I like both of these shows. They both were very Thanksgiving. I thought the parents on Boy Meets World were a little snooty or whatever. Like, they weren't trying to be, but they still were just like, they just wanted to go home.
Yeah, they did not want to be there.
And I was just like, you're kind of being jerks, you know. I did like the nothing that this whole episode started off of is they won the stuffing. They were sharing the stuffing. So we'll just have Thanksgiving together and whatever that was. But I'm voting because, like I said, what I like about Boy Meets World is the hot girlfriends in Topanga. Barely any Topanga, no hot girlfriends. I'm going with Roseanne.
You get Ethan Suplee as the bully. He's always good.
Yeah.
I do like we have to note that what's the principal's name?
Feeney.
Yeah, Mr. Feeney. He was the voice of Kit in Knight Rider.
I'm gonna change my vote.
I almost said in my brain it popped up, and all I could think of was Mr. Feely, and I was like, no, that's Mr. Rogers.
No, Feeney, I think.
Yeah, Feeney. So I didn't watch enough. Okay, moving on. More recent show, Fresh Off the Boat.
I watched this whole series, I think. I don't remember. Maybe it's possible I stopped before it ended and just didn't notice, but I watched this from the beginning. I thought it was a good show throughout.
Yeah, I watched
good
it a
theme
bit.
song.
Yeah.
I watched set in the 90s. Is that
Yeah.
it's like throwback? It's the kids like memoir. Is that right? Him growing up.
Right. It was based off of
It's like Asian Goldbergs or whatever.
kind of, yeah. Yeah, the kid it was based off of a real person that was kind of his memoirs or book or he wrote or something.
I'd watched some of this as it was airing. I get it felt kind of throwback sitcom-y, like it feels kind of old fashioned, mom and dad and the kids and crazy situations, but throwback in a good way. Like it had a good.
Yeah, I think the series ended because the
It
actress
was
that played the mom,
huge controversy with her.
She quit.
She wanted to be a star. She was blowing up and couldn't get out of her contract.
Right.
So
Yes.
it ended poorly. She had to do another season she didn't want to do, and it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And Randall Park has gone on to be in a bunch of huge roles. So.
I mean,
he's become bigger than her.
Jim Halpert.
Yeah, he made it right there.
Right there.
I think some funny things. I like them downloading the picture.
And it took like a day
of Tracy Chapman. That was amazing.
That was their
that was freaking that was it, man. That
so
that
this
right there was
one-
like, this is how it was.
So this was like they get to host the family this year at their house, right? So like, the sister is always hosted, and there's always tension between them. But so the mom chooses to go to theirs, so it has to be perfect, that kind of thing.
Right.
Every year, the mother would decide between the two sisters who
The
gets
mom
the
lives
host.
with them, though. You know, she lives at their house.
So
It's like, I thought that was funny.
The title was Huang's Giving, season 2, episode 8. So this is a pretty solid episode. I would say it was one of the better episodes of this series. I thought it was
frozen turkey, right?
Yeah, another frozen turkey.
Yeah.
The other dad, like the brother-in-law, cracked me up with the cruddy wig and their marriage is on the rocks or whatever, and he's a big failure, and cracked me up. But like immediately, like the two brother-in-laws that night before just get plastered drunk. And the dad wakes up in the driveway, just had some good stuff in there. Not totally outrageous. So,
what's it up against?
This is up against Perfect Strangers, which was a later add in there.
Two immigrant stories matching up. I like it.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
Well planned, Cliff.
Well, thank you very much. So this is season 7, episode 10. It's titled Wild Turkey.
7. This is one of the later.
Yeah, they're out of the apartment. Yeah. So
this is cousin Balky moves in with cousin Larry in like Chicago.
Yes,
I think.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
he moves from
Mipos,
a fake foreign land.
They could have picked anyone.
Yeah, well, like we're talking about problematic. Some of these old sitcoms make jokes, and like I don't have great memory of this. I know I watched a lot of them, But my memory was like, oh, are they going to do a bunch of like jokes about, oh, he's a dumb foreigner, like can't speak English, blah, blah. But like, no, the jokes they're never at Balky's expense. Like everyone loves Balky.
Yeah.
He may say stuff kind of funny or like have weird, references, but it's like he's on top of everything. He has way better relationships with people than Larry does. Larry can't figure out anything. So like, yeah, we're not laughing at Balky. We're definitely laughing with Balky.
I thought this was a really strong episode. It kind of like, it reminded me just how much I love Perfect Strangers. Like the jokes, even though they were dumb at the end, when Jennifer loses her ring, thinks she loses her ring in one of the turkeys. Larry has purchased live turkeys to resell for Thanksgiving. And they assume when her ring, comes up missing that it's in one of the turkeys, so they track the turkey down who they sold it to, and they go over to their house for Thanksgiving, and it's a big production trying to figure out, get in the turkey to find the ring, and it's just the physical comedy between those two is just magic to me. I don't know why. It's just they are so good together, Larry and Balky. And no matter what silly situation it is, I still laugh.
I liked this show back in the day, but this later, when you get into these later seasons, I don't know.
That was my fear going into it. As soon as I saw, like, okay, they're not in the apartment, they've moved on, they've got the girlfriends, I was like,
the girlfriends are like having to chew on any line they can scrape and possibly get to be a part of this episode. It's like, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible. That's my review. On these more high definition TVs, you can see all the turkey shit all over the floor in the kitchen after the turkeys run in there.
Yeah. So Fresh Off the Boat versus Perfect Strangers is where we're at.
Yep.
I don't. Any more thoughts?
I think Fresh Off the Boat's a pretty solid modern sitcom. It's very watchable. I've enjoyed what I've seen. My memory, I don't have a great memory of Perfect Strangers. I know I liked it back in the day, what I had seen. So I'm just going to go off these episodes. I think that episode, the scene of them in the strangers dining room.
Yeah.
To sneak around and dip their hand in turkeys, and like that was a pretty tour de force comedic scene. So I'm just from the strength of that alone, I might have to go Perfect Stranger.
Yeah, I mean, what's sad is you have to like there's way better episodes of Fresh Off the Boat, and unfortunately, that's not what we're able to watch. So I got to go Perfect Strangers.
It's so funny. As soon as the first couple notes of the song, the theme song of Perfect, like I'm just happy instantly. I can't explain it. It's just one of those shows that I'm just like, it just makes me happy.
I wish it had that effect on me. I like it, but.
All right, another TGIF moves on. Okay, yeah. We are at...
Oh, my God.
The last...
Not halfway.
Not halfway yet. We're at the last matchup of the first round of this one. And it's going to be Alf. We have a history with Alf on this show. And this was called Turkey in the Straw, Part 1 and 2, another two-parter double episode.
This was the first one I watched for this. It feels like it was 8 months ago.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, same.
So yeah, it's Thanksgiving at the were they the Tanners?
Tanners?
Yeah, that's what I thought. At the household. Apparently there's been an old bum staying out in Willie's garage, and they've been giving him stuff, I guess. I didn't remember that Willie was a social worker. I guess that makes sense in the premise of the show. And so
I thought he was like an astronomer.
I did too. Why did I
thought he
think
worked
that?
for NASA or something?
It turns out that was Flaky Pete. It wasn't Willie. It was Flaky Pete the bum.
Flaky Pete the bum. Wearing Willie's monogrammed sweater.
So the Tanners end up for some sort of reason they're going to have Thanksgiving dinner over at the neighbors, the Achmonics, and so Alf is stuck at home behind, and Flaky Pete in these episodes, Flaky Pete discovers Alf through the window, I think. And he's got some sort of NASA connection or background, or I don't know. I don't remember. But he
called a hotline when there's some reward you could get for turning in aliens. Or
he called Space Force, guys. He turned Alf into Space Force. So yeah, I don't know.
These aren't the aliens they'll be looking for.
Right.
Kicking in doors.
Right. So, not from the ocean, from Melmac. And, there's some cat jokes in there about Alf eating a cat. There's, just a lot of...
Alf ate the turkey they were getting ready for Thanksgiving, right? So
that's why
they have a turkey. So they accepted the invitation to the neighbors.
Boy, they were annoying. So yeah, this is after Flaky Pete discovers Alf. He calls the hotline. He dares to go into the house, and then they meet, and he feels something for Alf. He's amazed by Alf, and I guess his heart grows 3 sizes that day, and he decides that, internally, I guess he's having a battle of whether or not he should go through with, being part of capturing Alf and turning him over to the Space Force guys. So,
but still, they had already got a call from this
before
about this house before.
Yeah, that's what they said in the episode.
So it's like, even if it gets called off again, you got to be suspicious.
Well,
there are multiple calls at this address.
I mean,
different people.
Space Force does not have the best.
Yeah, they weren't the best of the best yet. So this was the 80s, late 80s.
Yeah, not like now.
Mm-mm.
There was a reference to Alf said something about Underdog being in a parade. Yeah, so we got to get another Underdog parade reference.
Alf, his lines are still funny. They're
oh my gosh,
the voice actor delivers them so well that they can be very cheesy, but the delivery still makes them work. So Alf is still funny to me.
Yeah, he had some good lines in this. I don't remember them. It's been weeks, but
yeah,
something about like, get in here for this lovely moment, right? Take a picture. Somebody said they loved him or something. No.
Yeah, so the Space Force shows up, and Flaky Pete is able to, I think he ends up like playing.
He says he's the alien.
Yeah.
I'm the alien.
He starts acting crazy, like, you
crazy
cute.
guy. So they call it off.
They
Did they take him away? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think so,
that's
yeah.
what I thought.
No, I thought he stayed for dinner or something, right?
Oh yes,
No.
yes. You're right. He stays for dinner, and then I think he still leaves with Willie's phone. So, I don't know. Does Flaky Pete come back in the series? I have no idea. I don't remember.
I like that you've said the phrase Flaky Pete about 17 times.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. What are we up against?
So this is in a battle here with Saved by the Bell, the college years.
Yes.
Yes. It was just the episode was just titled Thanksgiving. Season 1, episode 11. I think there was only one season of this show. Were there 2? I don't know.
It was on like prime time, wasn't it? It was.
Oh yes, it was
after
on,
like the Saturday morning was the teen show, and then when they went to college, they moved it as a primetime comedy.
Right. Yeah. When they originally went to college, it was Screech, Zach, and AC Slater, and then the girls were all new characters. The three girls, like, I'm pretty sure. And then part way through, it wasn't doing well, so part way through the season, they brought back Tiffany Amber Thiessen, if I remember correct. And I think one of the girls went away, and they kept the other two to, spark ratings and draw interest as they reunited Zach and Kelly. And
so
then
Bob Golick wasn't enough of a draw.
You would think, but
what the hell?
For whatever reason.
How weird is that?
Just Bob Golick.
Former NFL player as the
was he
head of the dorm? Like he was in charge of students, or I don't know what he's supposed to be.
Yeah, all of that.
So, yeah, in this episode, it's Thanksgiving. Bob Golick.
This is an orphans, literal Thanksgiving orphans. There's orphans, and then they are orphans because they get their car breaks down. They have to come back here for Thanksgiving.
Right. And then, again, there's a shortage on food or something, isn't there? Or is the turkey frozen?
Got to eat weird stuff. And frozen turkey.
Was that the one where? Was it Screech got a better deal on
a
live turkeys or uncooked turkeys or something?
Oh yeah. And then they ate Slim Jims or something.
Yeah. I don't know. This show hit a little different after watching that. There's an episode of The Dark Side of Comedy about Dustin Diamond and his life and how he was treated on the show. And this whole episode was like, Screech, you idiot, you screwed this up. And like that's how they kind of treated him in real life. He was kind of the bottom of the pecking order.
Craziest part of the whole episode to me was at the end when they just brought in these random freaking people. Jonathan Brandis showed up.
Oh yeah, it was like an NBC parade of stars
as Jonathan Brandis. Then we had Jenna Von Oy, 6 from Blossom. We had Marsha Warfield. Brian Austin Green, which was some good foreshadowing because soon he would be dating Tiffany Amber Thiessen as Valerie on Beverly Hills 90210.
Right.
At the very next year. And then we had last surprise guest, Mr. Belding.
It's our old principal, Mr. Belding. What are you doing here?
What are you doing?
So they were hosting like a meal for orphans or something, and then like they didn't have the food, so then like, but it got on the news, so they got a bunch of donations. No, it was basketball announcer Mel.
Marv Albert.
Marv Albert broadcasting live from halftime.
It must have been before he bit that woman.
Marv Albert there.
That's all I could figure out. Like, this had to be before he bit that woman.
So yeah, they got their charitable deeds got on TV, and they got a bunch of donations from a bunch of mid-level celebrities. This one gets my runner-up for most problematic. And it's not from where you would see it coming, because Thanksgiving's all about the Pilgrims and the Indians, so there's a lot of these shows have references to native peoples. The Brady Bunch are running around hooping and hollering. But in this one, Zach imitates an Indian of a different sort. They're talking about going to the 7-Eleven to buy food, and he does multiple bad Indian impressions, like Apu from The Simpsons. Like, Zach Morris is trash for sure.
Yep, that happened.
We all knew it.
Didn't age well. So yeah, I thought there would be offensive Indian caricatures on this series, but I didn't expect it to be South Asian.
So what do you pick?
I got a soft spot for Saved by the Bell. That was a big part of me growing up those years every Saturday morning, but not these college years. This was way past its prime, so Alf was a winner in every sense for me.
Yeah, I got to go with Alf, the two-parter.
Sure. Yeah, if it hadn't been a two-parter, I don't know, but luckily we got to watch a two-parter about. Yeah.
All right. That's the end of that. First round of that bracket, and that puts us at Fresh Prince of Bel-Air versus Everybody Loves Raymond and his tofurkey. I don't know. I guess I will vote Raymond. I'll stick with Ray. Everybody loves him on this one.
I would say I like the. What was the quote about? There was I remember Alfonso said when they were gonna. When she was changing up Thanksgiving, I remember him saying his teacher was coming over and he didn't need any of their liberal hijinks or whatever. Just like he kind of cracked me up a couple times, but I don't know. Neither one of these episodes blew me away. But both good shows, so I could go either way.
I'm not having real strong feelings about either.
And I liked the mom coming and pointing out that they're lazy. And they should be thankful for what they have there and stuff. But I also, like the family moment at the end of Raymond. I'd probably go Raymond. I just think that's. I like that show a little better.
I was leaning Fresh Prince and gonna make you make the decision, so that's fine.
Okay, I'm going Raymond.
Alrighty. Let me move him up over here. And next matchup is Roseanne versus those perfect strangers.
Well, I'm going to throw my vote towards Roseanne.
Okay.
That's probably where I would have to lean to. It's just a little more. It hits all those moments. I said this episode was a lot of familiar moments, but it did them all really well. So.
Yeah, actual family things.
I will give Perfect Strangers my sympathy
sure.
vote. Yeah. And
I could see too much turkey shit on the floor.
Okay, and then the last new entry on this side, we have Alf versus Seinfeld, the mom and pop shop.
I know
you're.
I'm not gonna go too far into this. I would vote Seinfeld.
Okay.
If you guys are going to vote Alf, then we can talk about this episode.
My only hang up is I couldn't even remember how this tied into Thanksgiving. I know every episode
in a million ways.
But it was just when I'm thinking, oh wait, this is a John Voight Carr episode. How is this Thanksgiving? It took me a minute, it wasn't instantly iconic as a Thanksgiving episode.
No,
I'm not arguing it's not.
That's true.
Yeah, I agree with that. Of course, they go over to Tim Watley's party for the
Thanksgiving parade
party, and Jerry accidentally ends up popping the Woody Woodpecker balloon that Mr. Pitt is holding one of the anchor ropes to. So
yes.
So I would probably go. I'd probably go Seinfeld. So, okay. So, Friends puts us at Friends, the football one, versus Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah. The football one's better than that.
Jordan? Is this still a Ray vote for you?
Wait, what?
Friends, the one with the football, all the football, I think it was called, versus Everybody Loves Raymond. No fat.
That one scene in Raymond had more heart to it than anything I've probably ever seen in Friends. So I'm going to say
I-
Raymond.
He's saying Raymond.
He's
If you
saying
think of the credits, he's going on that credits of Raymond where they're all eating food. The credits of this are Ross and Monica in the dark holding on to the football.
Fighting over
the football.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I still say the one. I'm voting Friends, the one in the box. Chandler's in the box. But now I go with the football one over Raymond.
Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of hard for me, but I think I'm going to lean towards Friends. I think that's a good representation thus far. But yeah, I mean it's a solid episode of Raymond we've talked about. Leaves us with right below that leaves us with Roseanne versus Seinfeld, the mom and pop shop.
Yeah, Seinfeld.
Roseanne is more Thanksgiving.
I agree.
Okay, I guess we got to talk about Seinfeld. Seinfeld is a great show. This episode is a great episode. And it's, as far as the Thanksgiving plot line, it's all about the impending Thanksgiving parade. And, Mr. Pitt wanting to, hold the string for the balloon, and they're all wanting to go to the party. Who got invited? Everybody's wanting to get invited. Yeah, there's also, of course, the mom and pop plot line where, they constantly are ruining businesses for people, but they've been around for 50-some years, and Kramer takes Jerry's shoes there.
Jerry, do you have any shoes that need cobbled?
And doesn't leave him anything but the cowboy boots as a backup thing.
Right.
And
I want to be a cowboy.
it's just like the same pirate. Oh, I want to be a pirate. Then, and of course, George buys John Voight's car, not the right John Voight, and then Kramer gets bit by John Voight, the real John Voight.
John Voight, the actor?
And then they have to find a dentist to compare the bite marks on the pencil to the bite marks on the arm. They got to go to meet all the dentists at the party. It's like one of my favorite things is Elaine knowing big band songs, and she names the song on the radio, and Mr. Pitt's like, "What is that? What are you doing?" And she tells him, and he's like, "Oh, I want to win. So just the moments when she's like pressured and she's got to know what the song is. She's listening, and he's like, "What is it? What is it?" He's like totally over. He's so excited and like on her, like this is the most important thing in the world. He's just so everything with it. That's always his plot line. It's like the dumbest little details that she has to lower herself to take care of for this guy. So when she has to use this her skill here, and then he's like, "What is it?" He totally has no faith in her in that moment, and then she's like, "It's Last Stop Pottersville," and then he's already so Last Stop Pottersville, like a child or whatever. I don't know. I loved that moment. I thought the episode's a really strong, famous episode with the John Voight stuff and things.
Yeah.
And I love Bryan Cranston,
another Bryan Cranston appearance.
Yeah.
Before he was big.
Yeah, all of that. I think it's a great episode. Yes, it doesn't have a ton of Thanksgiving, but it's there, and it's all, that's a major plot in it.
Well, the parade aspect of Thanksgiving is pretty strong for me. In my own life, that's something I've always done is watch the parade. Whether it was with my grandparents, I remember getting up and doing just that and waiting for Santa at the end, even, as an adult, like that's, that to me is the official moment. The beginning
I want to
of
see
Christmas.
the underdog. That's my guy. I'm looking for the underdog. Bullet.
Yeah, but great episode.
So this was already we were in season 6 of this one. So we were Seinfeld was at top ratings,
Yes.
must see TV Thursday.
Absolutely.
And they had really gotten into that connecting all the plot lines.
Yeah.
How do you connect John Voight to a parade balloon to a dentist to a shoe store. Like, they all connected. And that's such a clever aspect to that show.
I'm gonna stick with Roseanne though.
Oh no.
I really enjoyed. I'm not a Roseanne guy.
It's not even it's not that great of a freaking Roseanne episode. And this is a solid Seinfeld episode.
I thought it was a good Roseanne. It's so subtle in the message because it does a lot of it, like the bickering back and forth and the tension and just,
if I felt that was special to Thanksgiving, but they do that every episode.
But it has a realness to it.
Yeah, I agree. I did. I did like the episode.
I like them both. They're very distinct, different contrast here on themes. Definitely.
You're gonna make me decide then.
Yeah, that's what.
Well, I have a feeling you're all gonna vote for Friends anyway, so that's what this will go up against. So. Although Seinfeld might beat Friends, so if I put Seinfeld ahead, we might knock Friends off the list. But if I put Roseanne ahead, I know Friends will advance.
I don't want to influence it, but I'm not. I'm going to abstain. I'm not going to influence it.
I don't know what universe I could pick Roseanne over Seinfeld. That's crazy to me, but I'm still like,
oh my God.
I agree.
Crazy.
Nah, Seinfeld is just the better. It has more pop culture longevity. It's more rewatchable to me. So I
this is one of 100 Roseanne episodes.
Yeah, I think Roseanne. This was a good holiday.
Yeah.
Feel to it, but again, it didn't do anything that blew me away. So I again, it's not my favorite episode of Seinfeld either. But I got to get Seinfeld.
I'm still upset that I wasn't able to access Roseanne episodes today because I was hoping to find. I was going to watch them all and try to maybe throw in one to face off against that episode that we have on here and see if there's a better one of those because I'm sure there's good ones. That's a good one anyway. But yeah, Seinfeld.
Okay.
So now what?
To get our next member of the final four, Friends versus Seinfeld. 8 p.m. versus 9 p.m.
It's Seinfeld for me. It's not close.
Yeah,
that wouldn't have been the Friends episode I picked, and so
I feel like it's I'm okay with either one. Yeah. So I'm gonna say Seinfeld too. I'm not even gonna.
What in a twist? Jordan says Friends.
Yeah.
I've been fooling you all along to manipulate the list.
Chandler's my favorite.
Oh, I've got a Friends tattoo. I should.
Yeah.
All right, so that leaves us with WKRP in Cincinnati, Turkeys Away versus Seinfeld, the mom and pop shop.
We'll figure that out at the end of part 2.
Right. We're gonna pause it here. That was a lot of TV we just covered as usual. Highly in depth, giving our feelings and nostalgia for these Thanksgiving episodes.
I hope it tickled your nostalgia bone, your wishbone. You'll go and watch some of these classic eps to reminisce. Until then, we're back for part 2 very soon. My name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Bye forever.
Oh, well, I don't know. Speaking of shit on the floor, I don't have a transition here, but this is up again.
I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, it's like, wow, you really did match these up.
Yeah. No, this is up against Alf.
No, what are you doing?
Oh my! This is one of the first ones I watched.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No. We're still on Fresh off the boat. So.
Oh yeah, it was Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah, I'll cut that part out.
That's another immigrant story. Alf is another immigrant.
Yes, it is. So, different guy. Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast at gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.